Chapter 9:33. In the depths of the Cloud Ridge Mountain, where the miraculous gate was located, Shi Jingtian sat cross-legged in the cave dwelling at the bottom of the Devil Abyss. His hands were forming a mysterious seal. Waves of demonic energy surged, and a few rays of light were emitted from his body from time to time. Below him was a circular array with complicated patterns. There were 4 small holes at the edge of the array. Intermittent, white, spiritual light was gushing out from the holes. Shi Jingtian frowned, as if he wasn't satisfied with the effect of the array. He waved his sleeve, and a large pile of spiritual stones emitting dense spiritual energy appeared out of thin air. He threw them into the 4 holes at the edge of the array. In an instant, white spiritual light shone brightly. At the same time, the surrounding demonic chi also gathered towards the array. The bottom of the array gradually turned black and white. There was a strange fluctuation that flowed into Shi Jingtian's body. Shi Jingtian's brows relaxed, and his fingers continued to form seals. After an unknown period of time, Shi Jingtian opened his eyes. The terrifying demonic energy of a late nascent soul stage soared into the sky. It was as if some kind of restriction had been lifted. The demonic chi in the cave dwelling cheered and lingered around him. He opened his mouth slightly, and a blood-red demonic light flashed out. 3 long swords with dense blood-red light appeared in front of him. They were emitting a strong aura. These 3 long swords were the blood demon sword that old Fiend Pang had inserted into Shi Jingtian's body. At this moment, the blood demon sword seemed to be very docile as it quietly floated in the air. Shi Jingtian let out a breath of turbid air. He looked at the imposing blood demon sword and muttered, "I didn't expect Qian Jingshan's secret technique to be so useful. Not only did I get rid of the restriction of the blood demon sword and recover my cultivation, but I can also activate it temporarily. This old man is not simple." He had just become the Grand Elder of the Blood Refining Sect, and he was able to use the secret technique to control the blood demon sword as an exchange. If I can get the second half of the secret technique, I can use the blood demon sword to generate temporary blood demon force and completely control it. Shi Jingtian's eyes flashed with greed. This is a set of treasures that old Fiend Pang had refined for many years. It was even mixed with materials like the Silver Dragon Meteorite. Even 80% of its power can greatly increase my strength. If we work together with Situ, Hao, and his wife, we will be able to unleash most of the power of old Devil Pang's blood demon sword. The battle at the Blood Demon Mountain Range will be our time to shine. At that time, we will know who destroyed my opportunity. At the thought of this, Shi Jingtian's eyes turned gloomy. Back then, after Shi Jingtian hid the Jade-Bone Devil Man, he had a great battle with Situ Hao and his wife. Due to his serious injuries, he returned to the miraculous gate to recuperate. However, by the time he returned, the Jade-Bone Devil Man had already disappeared. Later, a war broke out in the state of Qi. Qian Jingshan came to ask for help with the matter of the Jade-Bone Devil Man. The 2 of them used the Oath Stone as a medium to perform a secret technique. Only then did they find out that the Jade-Bone Devil Man had not returned to the Blood Refining Sect. It was lost. At that time, even though Shi Jingtian was seriously injured, his spiritual sense was only at the late nascent soul stage. Only great nascent soul stage cultivators could spy on him secretly. Old Devil Pang's lifespan was no secret. Therefore, the old monsters of the 7 Evil Sect and the Yin-Yang Sect might be hiding outside the Blood Devil Mountain Range to observe old Devil Pang's breakthrough. The Jade-Bone Devil Man might have fallen into the hands of one of the great nascent soul stage cultivators from the 2 demonic sects. Old Devil Yuan Sha or the Yin-Yang Saint Master must be spying on me secretly. They must think that I have broken ties with the Blood Refining Sect and am seriously injured, so I won't get involved in this mess. However, they don't know about my agreement with Qian Jingshan. They also don't know that I have recovered my strength and can even work together with Situ, Hao, and his wife to unleash the full set of old Devil Pang's blood demon sword. The battle at the Blood Devil Mountain Range will be the death of those 2 old men. Although I won't have the chance to obtain the J-Bone Devil Man, with the help of the Blood Refining Sect, I can destroy the Green League and the Heavenly Sword Sect in one go. Shi Jingtian's eyes were filled with fervor. This way, the miraculous gate will be able to unify the Wei Nation's immortal cultivation world. The production of mid-grade and high-grade spirit stones will increase greatly. I will be able to cultivate with the demonic spirit chaos technique and reach the peak of the late nascent soul stage sooner. After that, Shi Jingtian packed up and quietly left the demon abyss, heading in the direction of the blood refining sect. Wei Nation's Tsang Prefecture, Heavenly Sword Peak. 3 skinny figures floated in the air. Their bodies were wrapped in a layer of pale golden shield, emitting a strong and sharp aura. The dense dark clouds in the sky were torn apart by this sword-like aura, revealing 2 full moons. These 3 people were Yulong Fei, Dugu Feng, and Lin Ming of the Heavenly Sword Sect. Lin Ming's body had been transformed by the Meridian strengthening technique and was several times tougher than before. Coupled with his top-notch aptitude, he had successfully broken through and become the 3rd nascent soul stage sword cultivator in the Heavenly Sword Sect. At first, Yulong Fei and Dugu Feng were a little hesitant. Lu Kuan's physical body secret technique might plant some kind of unique restriction in their bodies. However, in the face of the substantial strengthening of their meridians, they couldn't resist the temptation in the end. Yulong Fei was able to cultivate to the mid-nascent soul stage. Other than his outstanding aptitude, his meridians were also much stronger than ordinary sword cultivators. If his meridians were strengthened again, not only would he be able to use more powerful sword arts, his chances of entering the late nascent soul stage would also be greatly increased. Dugu Feng looked to the west and felt the sharp magic power flowing freely in his meridians. With a complicated expression, he said, "Senior brother, did you really agree to Master Lu's request?" Yulong Fei nodded and said, "That's right. I have already made an agreement with Master Lu. If his plan succeeds and Shi Jingtian is eliminated, I will agree to his request and merge the Heavenly Sword Sect into the Body Refining Pavilion. But senior brother, our strength has increased greatly." "Why?" Yulong Fei interrupted and said, "Junior brother, you might not know Master Lu's true strength. Even if we form the tripartite sword formation and exhaust our magic power, we might not be able to injure him severely." He looked down at the entire Heavenly Sword sect and said emotionally, "Furthermore, this might be our opportunity. Think about it. In the history of the Heavenly Sword sect, when did 3 nascent soul stage sword cultivators appear at the same time? With the help of Master Lu's secret technique, the chances of a core-bearing stage sword cultivator forming the nascent soul stage has doubled. There might even be more nascent soul stage sword cultivators appearing." Yulong Fei paused for a moment, and his tone was a little excited. "Pavilion Master Lu and I have discussed before. When our 2 sects' cultivation techniques are combined, an incomparably powerful sword cultivation technique will appear. It's called the sword body technique. Combining the body refining technique and the sword art, sword body technique?" Yulong Fei said. "After merging with the body refining pavilion, all disciples under the age of 40 can switch to the sword body technique. Therefore, whether it is for the sake of our cultivation, the continuation of the sect, or the development of our disciples, merging with the body refining pavilion is the best outcome." Lin Ming could not help but ask, "Senior apprentice brother, what kind of technique is the sword body technique? Why can it only be cultivated by those under the age of 40? Yulong Fei waved his hand and said, "This is a topic for the future. The most important thing for us now is to cooperate with Master Lu's plan." His eyes were shining as he said, "The tolerance of our meridians has greatly increased. This ancient tripartite sword formation can finally see the light of day again." Hearing about the tripartite sword formation, Dugu Feng and Lin Ming were both excited. This sword formation required 3 nascent soul stage sword cultivators to use at the same time. The sharpness of the 3 nascent soul stage sword cultivators would be combined into one. Then, they would be able to use all kinds of powerful techniques. Yu Longfei's cultivation was already close to the peak of the intermediate nascent soul stage. If the other two nascent soul stage sword cultivators were included, their level of cultivation would be comparable to that of a grand cultivator. With the cooperation of his two junior apprentice brothers, Yu Longfei, who was in the tripartite sword formation, was even more powerful than when he was in the Valley of the Swords. Furthermore, the meridians in his body had been greatly strengthened. He was able to use all kinds of sword techniques more flexibly. If it was in the past, their meridians were not strong enough. Even if there were three nascent soul stage sword cultivators, they would not be able to use this powerful technique. The people from the body refining pavilion are here. Yu Longfei seemed to have sensed something and looked into the distance. He saw that the black clouds in the sky in the west were being squeezed apart by a huge object. Ripples appeared on the surface of the clouds. The overflowing clouds vaguely outlined the outline of a battleship. Chapter 934. The state of Qing was a vast grassland with abundant spiritual energy. The Green Moon Temple and the Azure Sun sect were once stationed there. However, after the Heavenly Sword sect destroyed the Nine Spectres sect with lightning speed, the two sects felt a great sense of danger. They had no choice but to form an alliance to resist the pressure from the Heavenly Sword sect and the Miraculous Gate. After forming an alliance, in order to ensure that two nascent soul stage cultivators could hold the fort together, the two sects moved their base. Using the forbidden array they obtained from the Shangqing sect, they rebuilt a cultivator city as the base of the Green League. It was called the City of Qing. After all these years of cooperation and exchange of resources, the lower-level disciples of the Green League became more harmonious. However, the conflicts between the higher levels of the two sects gradually became apparent. Especially after Elder Li of the Azure Sun sect passed away, the internal conflicts became more serious. On this night, a young man wearing a blue robe flew slowly above the city walls of the city of Qing. His core formation stage, spiritual sense, enveloped the nodes of the array and inspected them. When the disciples on duty saw this young man, they all showed respect. Some of the foundation establishment stage disciples even hid jealousy in their eyes. Zhuang Feng saw the expressions of the disciples below and felt very proud. He was once the top foundation establishment stage disciple of the Green Moon Temple. Not long ago, he successfully broke through and entered the core formation stage, becoming the 12th core formation stage cultivator of the Green League. As a result, the Green Moon Temple had an absolute advantage in terms of strength. Not only did they have 7 core formation stage cultivators, but their nascent soul stage elder was also at the peak. The Azure Sun sect only had 5 core formation stage disciples, and their nascent soul stage elder broke through using an unorthodox method. He only had the power of the nascent soul stage, but his spiritual power was much weaker than a normal nascent soul stage cultivator. As long as the ancestor says the word, the Green Moon Temple can swallow the Azure Sun sect and completely control the Green League. When the time comes, Senior Sister Liu can only... Zhuang Feng suddenly raised his eyebrows and stopped flying. He turned his head to look at the forbidden array not far away. He didn't know if it was an illusion, but there seemed to be a few figures outside the array. However, just as he was about to use his spiritual sense to investigate, a blinding silver light appeared outside the array. It was accompanied by a terrifying wave that made him tremble. Zhuang Feng rubbed his eyes. When he saw the scene in front of him, he couldn't help but be stunned. The disciples patrolling disciples not far away were also stunned. The incomparably powerful array in front of them, which was capable of withstanding multiple attacks from a mid-stage nascent soul cultivator, had a small hole forcibly punched through it. The silver light and the terrifying wave disappeared without a trace, as if it was an illusion. In the next moment, Zhuang Feng felt as if he was in the air. 4 figures appeared at the entrance of the cave at the same time. The one in the lead was a muscular man, and the 3 behind him were all skin and bones. Zhuang Feng sect. This is the invasion of a nascent soul stage cultivator. I have to... Just as he locked onto a certain token in the storage bag, his entire body turned into a bloody mist. The light blue jean and storage bag flew into the strong man's hands under the influence of the power of the void. This man was Lu Kuan. Behind him were the three nascent soul sword cultivators from the Heavenly Sword sect. The forbidden array in Qingcheng was weaker than the one in the blood-refining sect's resource point. Lu Kuan's whirlpool finger and Yu Longfei's natal sword Qi easily broke it. Lu Kuan glanced at the forbidden array behind him and whispered, "Brother Yu, follow the plan. Let's end this quickly." After Lu Kuan finished speaking, he cast a low-level invisibility spell on himself and disappeared. Although Lu Kuan and the others suppressed their auras, the disturbance caused by the forbidden array still alerted the nascent soul stage cultivators in Qingqing. A sharp female voice sounded. "Who are you? How dare you trespass into the Green Alliance's territory?" Yu Longfei sneered and casually sent out a few sword lights to destroy the surrounding low-level cultivators. Then he took the other two and turned into a golden sword light that shot towards the center of the city. They didn't hide any of their auras. The terrifying sharpness of a nascent soul sword cultivator was revealed without restraint. The entire Qingsheng was filled with a terrifying pressure. All the disciples who were in the middle of cultivation woke up. Feeling such a terrifying aura, the sharp voice paused. Then, she said in disbelief, "Old monster you, how is this possible? A third nascent soul sword cultivator has appeared in the Heavenly Sword sect." As soon as she finished speaking, an old woman carrying a flower basket and a walking stick flew out of the city. A thick layer of azure light surged around her body as she shot in another direction. What a joke! She was only an early nascent soul stage cultivator. Even if Yu Longfei was alone, she wouldn't be a match for him, let alone three nascent soul sword cultivators. These fellows with abnormal attack power had actually forcefully broken through the Great Forbidden Formation and entered the city. If they had hit her, wouldn't she have lost her life? The Heavenly Sword sect's strength had increased greatly. It was obvious that they wanted to deal with the Green Alliance like how they dealt with the 9 Underworld sect. The best plan now was to escape. She didn't want to follow in the footsteps of the 9 Underworld sect. The speed of a nascent soul stage cultivator was astonishing. The old woman quickly flew to the other side of Qingqing. She took out a formation plate and used her divine sense to check behind her. Li Kid's reaction isn't slow either. Another red light flew out from the center of the city and fled in another direction. Yu Longfei and the other two's swords shone brightly. They ignored the old woman and chased after the red light. Great! This kid can help me buy time. The old woman was overjoyed. She changed the hand seal in her hand. Originally, she only wanted to use the formation plate in her hand. The formation of Qingcheng flashed slightly and completely disappeared. However, at that moment, a fist-emitting silver light appeared in front of her eyes. It emitted a suffocating pressure and fiercely bombarded her protective spiritual light. The protective spiritual light only trembled for a moment before it shattered. The flower basket on the old woman's back suddenly shone brightly and wrapped around the silver fist. The green light on the flower basket trembled violently, as if it was going to shatter at any moment. The old woman's face was filled with fear. However, before she could do anything else, a silver vortex appeared above her head. A terrifying suction force came from above. Her head was instantly crushed by the invisible force of the vortex. The silver fist quickly threw away the flower basket and turned into a palm. A semicircular silver vortex appeared in the center of the palm. The other palm appeared above the old woman. The silver vortex stuck to the palm and also turned into a semicircular shape. The two semicircular vortexes pressed against each other and destroyed the old woman's body. They formed a sealed space and trapped the frightened, nascent soul stage cultivator inside. Lu Kuan scanned with his spiritual sense and collected the flower basket, walking stick, and a few storage bags. At this time, Yu Longfei and the other two also finished off the fake nascent soul stage cultivator and flew over. Seeing the old woman's nascent soul being controlled, Yu Longfei sighed. Master Lu's technique can actually restrict the nascent soul stage cultivator's teleportation. If I didn't see it with my own eyes, I wouldn't have believed it. Lu Kuan ignored the compliment and said seriously, Brother Yu, please seal this nascent soul stage cultivator. Now that the formation is gone and the nascent soul stage cultivator in the Green League has been dealt with, we will immediately head to Lu Province and sneak into the Yang Mountain Range to kill the two from the spirit sect. Yu Longfei's hand flashed with spiritual light. He cast a few talismans on the old woman's nascent soul and put it into a sword box. He frowned. Are we not going to clean up Qingsheng? Fairy Sure took some of the disciples to Zhongzhou. If the rest of the disciples attack, Lu Kuan said calmly, the war in Lu Province will be more intense. The Green League will be used as a training ground for the disciples. Yu Longfei looked up at the dark sky and nodded. Okay, we will do as Master Lu says. Then, the few of them rode on a faintly discernible escape light and shot toward the Yang Mountain Range in Lu Province. Chapter 9:35. A few hundred meters above Qing City, a gigantic black warship was suspended in the air. It was at least 80 meters long and was covered in a layer of unique restriction. It was hidden in the clouds, and even a core formation cultivator's divine sense would find it difficult to detect it. This gigantic warship had a unique design. There were nearly 100 small green boats on both sides of it, and the bottom of the boats was covered in dense black steel spikes. It looked extremely ferocious. There were nearly 1,000 people on the deck of the warship. There were more than 700 people standing at the edge of the warship. Most of them were outer disciples of the body refining pavilion, dressed as martial artists. The rest were Qi refinement disciples of the Heavenly Rapier sect. There were 7 people in a team, 5 martial artists and 2 sword cultivators. The Qi refinement disciples of the Heavenly Rapier sect were excited. They whispered to each other and looked at the warship with curiosity. They had never seen such a gigantic warship in the Heavenly Rapier sect. However, when they looked at the surrounding martial artists, their eyes were filled with disdain and contempt. The martial artists of the body refining pavilion were very quiet. Some of them were polishing the weapons in their hands, while others were deep in thought. Everyone's eyes were filled with determination and determination. In the center of the deck sat more than 100 Foundation establishment sword cultivators. They were excitedly discussing the news that had just been released by the sect. Martial Uncle Lin Ming had broken through the profound martial realm and became the 3rd nascent soul sword cultivator of the Heavenly Rapier sect. The Heavenly Rapier sect was going to join forces with a sect called the Body Refining Pavilion to destroy the Green Alliance and the Miraculous Gate in one fell swoop. They were going to unify the Wayne Nation's cultivation world. This series of news made all the Heavenly Rapier sect disciples excited. They could finally hold their heads high and show the power of sword cultivators to other cultivators. However, what made them puzzled was this body refining pavilion that they had never heard of before. These Foundation establishment sword cultivators looked at the front of the warship from time to time. They realized that the elders of the sect were very respectful of the body refining pavilion and treated them as equals. Some of them even felt that their elders were a little humble. One had to know that the Heavenly Rapier sect had 3 powerful nascent soul sword cultivators. If the elders still treated them like this, didn't that mean that the body refining pavilion was stronger than the Heavenly Rapier sect? However, they hadn't seen any Foundation establishment disciples of the body refining pavilion except for the 2 seniors in the body refining pavilion. What made them even more curious was that the body refining pavilion actually allowed mortals to participate in a battle between cultivators. No matter how they looked at it, the body refining pavilion didn't seem like a big sect. At the front of the deck of the battleship, 12 immortal cultivators were standing against the wind. 10 of them were core formation stage sword cultivators from the Heavenly Rapier sect. The leader was a slender young woman with a bronze longsword on her back. Her name was Jiang Ting. After Lin Ming broke through, she was the only late core formation stage sword cultivator. The other 2 were Zhao Qingtian and Zhu Siming. Zhao Qingtian's aura became even more profound. He was wearing a long blue robe, and his hands were covered with a layer of claw gloves made of unknown scales. The inch-long claws flashed with a dark blue luster, as if they were poisonous. Jiang Ting frowned as she looked down at the city of Qing, which had just lost its protective spell. Junior brother Zhao, senior uncle Yu, and the others should have left. Our mission is to completely destroy the Green League. However, up until now, none of the Foundation establishment disciples have appeared. As for the core formation stage body cultivator, junior brother Zhao seems to be the only one. Don't tell me they all followed your seniors to the middle continent. Zhao Qingtian rubbed his claws. He didn't answer. Instead, he asked senior sister Jiang, "How did senior uncle Yu and the others introduce us?" Jiang Ting was stunned. Senior uncle Yu said that body cultivators are strong in defense, while sword cultivators focus on offense. Both sides complement each other. When they work together, they can unleash a shocking amount of power. Zhao Qingtian sighed. He looked up at the sky and muttered, "No wonder Master said we have to show our true strength." You can't even begin to imagine what kind of changes the appearance of body cultivators will bring to the immortal realm. Hearing Zhao Qingtian's arrogant tone, Jiang Ting wrinkled her nose in displeasure. Then, as if she sensed something, she lifted her head and looked up at the sky. A rumbling sound came from afar. It didn't take long before everyone heard it. In the dark sky, a bright red dot appeared. It was falling down at an extremely fast speed. Rumble. The rumbling sound became louder and louder. Everyone on the battleship looked up at the sky. There seemed to be a strong current in the sky. The surrounding clouds were all pushed far away. As the bright red dot grew bigger, many cultivators from the Heavenly Rapier sect realized that it was a black metal ball wrapped in flames. The ferocious steel spikes on the outside of the iron ball were all burned red. A wave of heat rushed towards them. It didn't seem to be an ordinary flame. It was falling in the direction of the Qingcheng city below. Zhu Siming's face was illuminated by the flames. He revealed a fanatical expression and said, "Fellow cultivators from the Heavenly Rapier sect, this is the weapon of war created by our body refining pavilion, the meteorite. It has a diameter of 23 feet. It is made with many kinds of high-density materials. It can hold up to 5 body cultivators. The power of the weapon combined with the force of falling from the sky makes it a perfect weapon to attack the city." Zhao Qingtian added, "Senior Jiang, my 4 junior brothers are inside the meteorite. With their cooperation, the meteorite can explode with the most powerful force. After they attack the city, everyone can follow closely behind and attack the Qing League's completion-leveled cultivators from both inside and outside." The group of core formation stage sword cultivators were dumbfounded. A weapon can fall from the sky? How can a body cultivator use a weapon inside the meteorite? If this continues, aren't they committing suicide? Jiang Ting felt the strong vibrations in the air. She couldn't help but say, "Do your junior brothers want to die?" With such a strong impact, even a 7th-level demon beast can't withstand it. The corners of Zhao Qingtian's mouth curled up. If it was in the past, I wouldn't have dared to let them fall from the sky. However, after little junior brother entered the treasure bone stage, his defensive power is even stronger than Master's back then. With him leading, the few of them are completely able to withstand this terrifying force. Jiang Ting looked at the meteorite blankly. She couldn't understand Zhao Qingtian's words. Since when can a human's body be stronger than a demon beast's? Zhao Qingtian saw that the meteorite was about to reach the height of the battleship. He said softly, "Senior Jiang, I forgot to tell you. The battleship under our feet is also called a meteorite." As he spoke, Zhu Siming cast a series of spells on the formation plate in front of him. The invisible seal on the outside disappeared. The entire battleship began to tremble violently. A strong force was brewing inside the battleship. Zhao Qingtian said proudly, "Everyone, these are the 26 Foundation establishment disciples of the body refining pavilion." As soon as he finished speaking, the ferocious steel spikes at the bottom of the battleship emitted streaks of fire. A continuous roar came from the bottom of the battleship. 26 steel balls wrapped in ferocious steel spikes flew with a strong whistling sound towards the city of Qing along with the meteorite. Jiang Ting and the other sword cultivators were still in shock. They had never seen such a scene. Immortal cultivators used magic weapons and spells to attack from afar. And this group of body cultivators from the Body Refinement Pavilion, together with their artifacts, actually turned into meteorites from outer space, brazenly charging into the enemy's formation. Even if they resisted the force of the fall, they had already entered the enemy's territory. How could they resist the enemy's concentrated attacks? Although she had such worries, Jiang Ting had to admit that the charging formation of a body cultivator was practically made for war. It could completely disrupt the enemy's defensive formation and cause the enemy's attention to be focused on the body cultivator. And at this moment, it was the best opportunity for the sword cultivators to attack. Jiang Ting took a deep breath. Her late-stage core formation spiritual sense spread out. A moment later, 10 core formation sword cultivators, including her, and 100 foundation establishment sword cultivators all flew out of the meteorite battleship. The Qi condensation sword cultivators and martial artists around the deck also entered the battleship. Their battlefield was the outer city. Chapter 9:36. The battle between the original level cultivators happened in the blink of an eye. Many of the Green League disciples saw the death of their original level elder and were terrified. According to the elder, the invaders seemed to be original level sword cultivators from the Heavenly Rapier sect. Their own elder was killed so easily. How terrifying would an original level sword cultivator's attack be? If such a strong cultivator were to deal with these low-level cultivators, it would be a piece of cake. Therefore, the cultivators of the Green League all hid in their own abodes, especially in the area of the completion-level cultivators. They didn't dare to make a single move. They knew very well how terrifying an original-level cultivator was. The enemy was a powerful original-level sword cultivator. If they were to make a move, they would be killed immediately. Just as everyone was on tenterhooks, a deafening roar came from the sky above the silent city. Only then did everyone realize that a meteorite covered in flames had appeared in the sky. What kind of spell is this? Could it be a high-level spell that only original-level cultivators can use? No, this is a magic treasure. As the meteorite came closer, the completion-level cultivators realized that it wasn't a spell. It was a giant magic treasure that was covered in flames. A powerful magic treasure's aura surged from it. Could it be a magic treasure used by the original level cultivators of the Heavenly Rapier sect? But there was no original level energy on it, only the power of a completion level cultivator. This made the completion leveled cultivators of the Green Alliance feel a lot more relieved. Their Immortals' Abode's defenses were strong enough to withstand an attack from an original leveled cultivator. It shouldn't be a problem for them to withstand this attack. But then they realized that behind the giant ball of flames, there were more than 20 smaller balls of flames. Behind the clouds in the sky, a huge battleship appeared. Over 100 rays of sword light shot out from a battleship. The 10 rays of sword light at the very front gave off a powerful aura of sword intent. Damn it, the Heavenly Rapier sect is attacking. The giant metal ball and the 10 completion level sword cultivators are obviously coming for our abodes. The Heavenly Rapier sect wants to destroy the Green League. If we let the completion level cultivators attack, the original level cultivators probably won't attack. It's just 10 completion level sword cultivators. We might be able to kill our way out. That's right. We'll first rely on the restrictions to defend ourselves, then wait for an opportunity to escape. When the scorching flames and trembling meteor reached a height of 300 meters above the city, the restrictions on several cave dwellings flickered and 3 core formation cultivators appeared. A few sneers appeared on their faces. These people are really stupid. If the Heavenly Sword sect attacks outside the cave, they will be like turtles in a jar. It will be even harder to escape. Now is the best chance. But before the smiles on their faces disappeared, the meteorite in the sky suddenly exploded with a strong, icy aura, which intertwined with the power of fire on the surface of the metal ball. Those red-hot steel spikes surged with incomparably sharp sword intent. Swish, swish. Accompanied by countless ear-piercing sounds, the steel spikes outside the meteorite turned into hundreds of golden sword lights and blasted down from all directions. On top of the meteorite's speed, the steel spikes were propelled by the power of ice and fire, as well as the sword intent. The three core formation stage cultivators had no time to escape the attack's range and could only hastily defend themselves. Boom, boom, boom. Continuous sounds of explosions could be heard. The three completion-level cultivators were instantly drowned by the dense amount of sword rays. Not only did they have the terrifying power of falling from the sky, these sword rays could also self-destruct. The frightening power of the sword rays directly turned them into dust. As for the other self-exploding sword lights, they all blasted onto the binding restriction. The burning meteorite followed closely behind and smashed onto the trembling restriction. Boom, boom, boom. Accompanied by the earth-shattering sound, a violent shockwave surged in all directions. A white mist-like mushroom cloud of spiritual energy rose into the air. On top of the mushroom cloud, the 10 core formation stage cultivators led by Jiang Ting formed a sword sign at the same time. Their sword intent and mana circulated as they displayed the heavenly sword sect's unique technique, the sword light splitting technique. The intrinsic magic sword split into 30 extremely sharp sword flashes blasted into the mushroom cloud. The light barrier around the core formation cave in the city of Qing was completely shattered under such a concentrated attack. Violent energy overflowed in all directions and blew away the white mist-like spiritual energy. The figures of 3 men and 1 woman were revealed. They floated in 4 different directions within the cave complex. The most eye-catching one was a muscular man. He was 8 feet tall, and his body was filled with thick and bulging muscles. He held 2 giant shields that were about the same size as his body. He looked extremely ferocious and terrifying. These 2 giant shields were semicircular in shape and exuded a dense aura of the earth element. The surrounding air was slightly distorted, obviously containing high temperatures. This muscular man was Lu Kuan's little disciple, Pan Yen. After this guy entered the treasure bone stage, his body of thick earth was activated. His entire body carried a dense aura of the earth element. His bones and muscles inexplicably became much thicker, as if he was a human-shaped giant beast. The other 3 were Yu Xian, who wore fiery red gloves, Sher Chao, who wielded 2 icy swords, and Huang Xiaoyan, who was playing with a strange-looking short sword. Other than the weapons in their hands, they also had 2 small round shields hanging from their forearms. The meteorite was a magic treasure that Lu Kuan and the Pavilion of Treasures created together. It was almost tailor-made for these disciples. When combined together, it could form a giant meteorite. When separated, it could be used as a defensive magic treasure. The few of them cooperated with each other and descended from the sky to unleash this incomparably terrifying attack. Just as the light screen of the restriction was shattered, 7 to 8 magic treasures flashing with spiritual light of various colors shot out from below. The 4 cultivators flashed and met the attack with extreme speed. The core formation stage sword cultivators in the air also summoned their mana and struck out with their own life-bound magic swords. The powerful cultivators of the Heavenly Rapier sect and the body cultivators surrounded the core formation stage cultivators of the Azure League in an excellent formation. Violent energy surged endlessly. At the same time, the 26 meteors that were moving at a slightly slower speed crashed into the area of the Foundation Establishment Cultivators' abodes. Accompanied by a series of earth-shattering explosions, more than 20 small mushroom clouds soared into the sky. Countless restrictive spells in the Foundation Establishment Cultivators' abodes were blasted to pieces. Within each mushroom cloud, there was a bone-tempering stage body cultivator. They crouched in a 3-foot semicircular shield. Unlike the meteorite magic treasures, these meteorites shot out by the meteor battleship were all self-destructing magic treasures. Only the small shields inside to reduce the impact were intact, level 3 spiritual immortal treasures. The bone-tempering stage body cultivators quickly stood up and swallowed blood chi pills to heal their wounds. They held shields in one hand and various weapons in the other, assuming a battle stance. The 100 Foundation Establishment stage, sword cultivators of the Heavenly Rapier sect also arrived on their swords. 4 or 5 of them, followed by a body cultivator, and launched an attack on the dark barrier around them. In the outer area of Azure City, spirit boats flew in one after another. Large numbers of martial artists and chi refinement stage sword cultivators poured into the outer city. Wei Kingdom's Zhongzhou. A certain resource point of the miraculous gate had a damaged barrier. The flames of war were raging inside. A gray-skinned, dignified, and beautiful woman floated in the air, emitting an extremely cold aura. On the woman's head was a small monkey with golden fur. It squinted its eyes, and its ears twitched occasionally. It seemed to enjoy the cold, energy very much. After the time it took to eat a meal, the flames of war below had calmed down. 3 core formation stage cultivators flew over from below. One of them was a middle-aged man, carrying 2 swords on his back. He was the head of the Heavenly Rapier sect's Shui family, Shui Fengqiu. He was at the peak of the middle core formation stage. Because he had nurtured a complete set of natal magic swords, his battle prowess was even stronger than Jiang Ting, who was at the late core formation stage. The other 2 were Qin Yushu and Xiao Hongfei. Qin Yushu was already at the middle core formation stage, while Xiao Hongfei was at the peak of the middle core formation stage. With the pure, dermic energy formed from the ancient core formation stage, his battle prowess was on par with Shui Fengqiu. Qin Yushu said respectfully, "Senior Shi, the last miraculous gate resource point in Zhongzhou has been cleared." This gray-skinned, beautiful woman was Lu Kuan's silver-armored corpse, Serene. She stretched out her finger and scratched the little monkey's head. The latter squeaked comfortably. Serene's ears twitched. She seemed to understand the little monkey's words. She said coldly, "Very good. The disciples of the miraculous gate in Zhongzhou have all fallen. The other forces are no match for you at all. In the next 3 days, all the resource points in Zhongzhou will be cleared. Xiao Jin will assist you." After she finished speaking, she ignored the little monkey's reluctant eyes and threw it out. It turned into a gray light and shot towards the Yiyang mountain range in Tsang Prefecture. Qin Yushu looked at the light that quickly disappeared from his sight. He said with a serious expression, "Brother Xiao, Brother Shui, there's no time to lose. Let's quickly gather the disciples. Even if we have 12 body cultivators in the blood condensation stage and 30 sword cultivators in the middle foundation establishment stage, 3 days is still a little tight. How about this? We set a small goal first. For example, 1 second. Remember, book guest residence." Chapter 9:37. North of Lu Province, Miraculous Gate, Yunling Mountain Range. In a core formation cultivator's cave near the Demon Abyss, a beautiful young woman was sitting cross-legged in a secret room. She was circulating some kind of cultivation technique, inhaling and exhaling the rich demonic aura around her. Under her body was a mysterious array with traces of white light appearing from it. This was the famous core formation elder of the Miraculous Gate, Li Wan, who possessed the spiritual body. If other Devil Spirit Sect core formation cultivators were to see Li Wan now, they would definitely be incomparably shocked. Logically speaking, after failing to break through to the nascent soul stage, even if she could preserve her golden core with the help of the spiritual body, her vitality would be greatly damaged. But now, her body was surging with rich and pure demonic aura, which was even more powerful than ordinary peak core formation cultivators. Li Wan failed to break through to the nascent soul stage, but her demonic aura didn't decrease. Instead, it became even purer. After an unknown period of time, she slowly opened her eyes and felt the full golden core in her dantian. Her eyes flashed with excitement. The demonic spirit chaos technique is indeed the top cultivation technique of our sect. It can stimulate the cultivation of demonic aura with spiritual aura. No wonder Grand Elder wanted to drive the Qing sect to exterminate the Yang clan. This secret technique to increase the speed of cultivation is burning spirit stones. Although I lost my spiritual aura and failed to condense my nascent soul, my cultivation has recovered to its peak after all these years of cultivation. Moreover, because of my recultivation, my demonic aura is much purer than before. The probability of me breaking through to the nascent soul stage for the second time has greatly increased. I'm already like this. Grand Elder has enough resources. I wonder if he can make further progress. More than 30 years ago, Jingtian found Li Wan and gave her the demonic spirit chaos technique, many cultivation resources, and the position of the core formation disciple in exchange for her spiritual aura. In this way, even if Li Wan failed to form her nascent soul, she could quickly recover to her peak with her physique and the demonic spirit chaos technique. It was equivalent to having 2 chances to break through to the nascent soul stage. Li Wan knew that even with the help of the spiritual aura, her chances of forming her nascent soul were at most 30%. It was better to be safe and use the spiritual aura to exchange with Grand Elder. Now, it seemed that this transaction was very worthwhile. With the experience of forming her nascent soul once, her chances of forming her nascent soul a second time had greatly increased by at least 50% with the help of her pure demonic chi and the demonic spirit primordial chaos art. Besides, she received news that Elder Yu had successfully broken through with the help of the psychic chi. In other words, the miraculous gate now had 2 mid-stage nascent soul realm powerhouses, and their strength was completely superior to the other forces in Wei Nation. Li Wan looked excited. If I enter the nascent soul stage, the miraculous gate will have 6 nascent soul stage cultivators. How prosperous will that be? We can totally unify the Wei Nation's cultivation world and occupy. While she was in high spirits, a sharp noise suddenly came from the secret chamber in the depths of the cave. Even the faint black restrictive light curtain on the wall started to shake violently. Li Wan was stunned for a moment before her expression changed. This is an alarm. A core formation stage cultivator has fallen. Her figure flashed, and she came to the depths of the cave. The walls here were covered with thick black restrictive spells. As Li Wan made a few hand seals, the restrictive spells gradually dissipated, revealing a stone wall. The stone wall was gray and looked lusterless. It emitted a cold aura, and the surrounding demonic chi seemed to be unable to get close. It seemed to be made of dragon-breaking stone. Li Wan's hand flashed, and a diamond-shaped token appeared. She pressed it into the groove in the middle of the stone wall. Rumble. This dragon-breaking stone made a heavy noise and slowly rose up, emitting a cold aura. Behind the dragon-snapping stone was a stone room that was 10 feet wide. It was filled with black jade lotuses, and on each jade lotus, there was a light purple spirit flame floating. Thousands of flames emitted a dark light. This was the place where the miraculous gate stored the divine soul imprints of its disciples, the divine soul hall. A sect of the miraculous gate scale had to use some kind of method to restrain its disciples and maintain their loyalty. The oath stone was the most suitable treasure. However, although the miraculous gate had the method to refine the oath stone, the materials used to refine it were rare in the world. The miraculous gate had been passed down to this day, and the oath stone used by other sects was very ineffective. It cannot be used by more than 100 people. In order to restrain its disciples, the miraculous gate created the divine soul hall. The miraculous gate would use some kind of secret technique on its disciples to extract a trace of their divine soul imprint and make it into a divine soul lamp, which was stored in the divine soul hall. If there were people from other sects who pretended to be low-level disciples, the divine soul lamp would reflect their true cultivation level. If a disciple betrayed them, The divine soul lamp could also be made into a tracking instrument to hunt down these traitorous disciples. The divine soul hall that Li Wan opened stored the divine soul lamps for those below the late core formation stage. The divine soul lamps for those at the late core formation stage and the nascent soul stage were all in the depths of Shi Jingqian's cave. How could this be? Li Wan was in a daze. In the divine soul hall, more than 100 divine soul lamps were extinguished, including 3 early core formation stage cultivators. This meant that more than 100 disciples and 3 core formation stage cultivators from the miraculous gate had all died. She carefully identified the divine soul lamps, and her face turned even uglier. Junior Sister Wang, Junior Brother Shun, Junior Brother Song. Weren't they stationed in Zhongzhou? These foundation stage cultivators seem to have gone to Zhongzhou as well. Could it be that our sex base in Zhongzhou was wiped out? It must have been a nascent soul stage cultivator. Was it the Green Alliance or the Heavenly Sword sect? Li Wan was furious. In her opinion, the miraculous gate had 5 nascent soul stage cultivators. The head elder and elder you were both in the mid-nascent soul stage. They were much stronger than the other 2 sections. How could they dare to attack? Or did the other 2 sects join forces? It's been less than 200 years, and there's going to be another war. I have to report this to the head elder. She waved her sleeve and put away the extinguished divine soul lamps. Then, she turned into a ray of light and left the cave. Li Wan was now a core formation stage cultivator. She was the closest to the demon's abyss. After passing through a few complicated prohibitions, she arrived outside the demon's abyss. She quickly sent out a message. After a while, a black-haired elder flew out from the demon's abyss. His eyes flashed with disbelief. Li Wan, is what you said true? This person was not the head elder, Shi Jingqian. It was Yu Lianxing. Li Wan was slightly startled. Then, she said respectfully, "Yes, Elder Yu. All the divine soul lamps of the Zhongzhou disciples have been extinguished. There must have been a nascent soul stage cultivator." As she spoke, the extinguished divine soul lamps floated between the 2 of them. Seeing this, Yu Lianxing's face darkened. Elderly of the Green Alliance just died. There's a lot of internal strife. There's no way they would attack. Could it be Yu Longfei from the Heavenly Sword sect? Looking at the divine soul lamps, he raised an eyebrow. Wait, Xinshang has also fallen. He returned to the spirit sect a few years ago. Just then, Yu Lianxing's face changed. The jade bracelet on his wrist vibrated violently. Following a flash of spiritual light, a panicked voice was heard. "Senior Brother Yu, this is bad. Lin Ming from the Heavenly Sword sect has entered the nascent soul stage. Now, 3 sword cultivators have infiltrated the spirit sect. Their attacks are too strong. Junior Sister Feng and I can only use the forbidden array to protect ourselves. We won't be able to hold on for long. Senior brother, quickly come with the head elder to help." Li Wan's mouth was slightly open. She was shocked by the information. It was much harder for a sword cultivator to break through to the nascent soul stage than a normal cultivator. What kind of luck did the Heavenly Sword sect have? Not only did Dugu Feng break through, but Lin Ming also broke through. Yu Lianxing clenched his fists. His eyes flashed with rage. Yu Longfei, how dare he? Just 3 sword cultivators, and he wants to meddle with my miraculous gate? He's asking for death. He sent a sound transmission talisman to Mo Yuan. Then, he ordered Li Wan arrange for the disciples to prepare for battle. The head elder is in seclusion and cannot be disturbed. Junior brother Lu will come out to take charge. Then, Yu Lianxing turned into a ray of black light and shot towards the Yu Yang mountain range. Chapter 938. The Yang Mountain Range, the location of the miraculous gate, the former Yang clan's mountain gate. A huge gray light screen, like a huge bowl, was placed in the middle of the mountain range. The surrounding spiritual energy was surging and gathering crazily. Large amounts of spiritual energy swirled around the screen. It was obvious that the forbidden array here was operating at its maximum capacity. Inside the gray light screen was the mountain gate of the spirit sect. Inside, Every mountain's forbidden array was operating at its maximum capacity. Various kinds of forbidden power interweaved between the mountains. The mountain gate was very quiet. No cultivators could be seen, except for the centermost position. In the center of the huge forbidden light screen, there was a thick gray spiritual pillar shooting down from above. It emitted a shocking wave of forbidden energy, enveloping the centermost mountain. Dazzling spiritual light was faintly emitted from the spirit pillar. Even through the restriction, one could feel a large amount of terrifying nascent soul stage power tumbling inside. The rich spiritual energy in the surroundings was stirred up, shaking in all directions and bombarding the surrounding restriction, causing clouds of spiritual energy to rise. All the core formation cultivators of the spirit sect were hiding in their own abodes, carefully observing the scene at the center of the mountain. Not long ago, they clearly saw 3 nascent soul stage sword cultivators from the heavenly rapier sect sneaking into the mountain gate and directly attacking the 2 elders' abodes. The power of a nascent soul stage sword cultivator's attack was too terrifying. Just the residual power of a golden sword aura was enough to easily kill an early core formation cultivator of the same sect, scaring them into hiding in their abodes. Not long after, the sect's forbidden formation was completely activated. A beam of forbidden light shot down. It seemed that the sect's elder had borrowed the power of the restriction to trap the 3 terrifying enemies. At the same time, he had also sealed the mountain gate. A few core formation cultivators who were proficient in the art of formations were deeply worried. This method of activating the forbidden array would obviously have repercussions. Not only would it not last long, after it was over, the core array disk would be greatly damaged and the effect of the forbidden array would be greatly reduced. What they were praying for now was that the elders of the Devil's Sect would quickly come to their aid. Southwest of the sect, Qingyang Peak. In the abode at the top of the mountain, a man with a hooked nose sat cross-legged in a secret room. The wall opposite him flickered with spiritual light, displaying the scene outside. This person was the former head of the Yang clan's Luo clan, Luo Yuechi. Because Luo Yuechi had contributed greatly to the destruction of the Yang clan, the miraculous gate had rewarded him with a lot of resources. His cultivation had improved by leaps and bounds, and he was now in the late stage of the core formation realm. Looking at the scene of spirit chi tumbling and feeling the occasional vibration of the cave dwelling's restriction, he couldn't help but exclaim, "The strength of 3 nascent soul stage sword cultivators is actually so terrifying. Without the help of the forbidden formation, I'm afraid Elder Zhang and Elder Feng would have no choice but to flee." Luo Yuechi carefully observed for a while and discovered that the battle inside the gray spirit pillar had gradually descended into some kind of stalemate. Confusion flashed through his eyes. This is strange. Even though the Sky Rapier clan has a 3rd original leveled sword cultivator, it is not enough to fight against the miraculous gate. If they dare to make a move, then they must have joined forces with the Green Alliance. Luo Yuechi pondered. If the 3 original leveled sword cultivators could sneak into the spirit sect, then why didn't they come with the original leveled sword cultivators from the Green Alliance? If the 3 original leveled sword cultivators and the 2 original leveled cultivators from the Green Alliance were 5 against 2, even if they couldn't kill Elder Zhang and the others, they could still seriously injure them and take the lead in the battle. He carefully observed the scene on the wall and muttered, "Even though the forbidden formation won't last long, Elder Zhang and the others will be able to hold off the enemy for a while. By the time the head elder arrives, the 3 from the Sky Rapier clan will be like turtles in a jar." Luo Yuechi was able to juggle between the 2 clans and reach his current level of cultivation. He was a man of great calculation, and he quickly thought of another possibility. The Sky Rapier clan must have been preparing for a long time to make a move against the miraculous gate. If they did this knowing that they would be held back, then it means that they're doing this on purpose. Could it be that they're using a strategy of encirclement to attack the reinforcements? But then he frowned. But as far as I know, one of the elders from the Green Alliance is in the early stage of the original leveled, while the other is barely in the fall stage of the original level. Our head elder is a cultivator at the peak of the mid-stage of the original level. If he isn't strong enough, how can he attack the reinforcements? Thinking of this, his heart skipped a beat. Or rather, the Sky Rapier clan's ally is not the Green Alliance, but an even stronger existence. A cultivator at the peak of the mid-stage of the original level. Their real target is our head elder. Just then, a terrifying spiritual sense appeared out of nowhere in Luo Yuechi's secret room. Luo Yuechi, you really are something. You actually guessed half of our strategy. Luo Yuechi jumped up in shock. This spiritual sense was incomparably strong, even more terrifying than Elder Zhang's. He had only experienced this feeling from the head elder, Shi Jingtian. There really was a powerful cultivator lying in ambush. Following the appearance of the spiritual sense, a strange and terrifying wave of energy began to spread. The door of the secret room, along with the prohibition spell, seemed to have been hit by a powerful force and was shattered into pieces. A burly figure appeared at the entrance of the secret room. The terrifying wave of energy filled the secret room, causing Luo Yuechi's hair to stand on end. He instinctively activated his mana shield. But in the next moment, an irresistible force appeared in the air, easily shattering his magical power shield. Then, this force disappeared as if it had never appeared. Luo Yuechi was extremely terrified. He fell to his knees and kowtowed. Junior Luo Yuechi greets Senior. I wonder if Senior has any orders? I will obey. His mind was racing. This person was definitely a cultivator at the mid-stage of the original level. Since he didn't kill him directly, it meant that Luo Yuechi was still useful. Saving his own life was more important. The burly man didn't pay attention to him. Instead, he looked at the scene on the wall and sighed. It's a pity. If the Forbidden Formation was intact, the Yu Yang sect wouldn't have been broken so easily with the help of the secret technique and the psychic puppet. Don't you think so, Luo Yuechi? Luo Yuechi was shocked. How did this person know so much? The forbidden spell of the spirit sect was modified from the Yang clan's forbidden spell. Only the completion-leveled cultivators of the Yang clan knew about this forbidden spell. But other than him, everyone else should have fallen. The last sentence seemed to have a hidden meaning. Thinking of this, Luo Yuechi couldn't help but look up. His pupils shrank, and he revealed a look of disbelief. How is this possible? You are Senior Lu. Lu Kuan sneered. I didn't expect Patriarch Luo to still remember Lu, but I didn't come here to chat with you. Luo Yuechi's entire body began to tremble. He naturally recognized Lu Kuan from Ling Yutong. He knew that this guy had entered the completion level. His strength was astonishing, and he formed his own power on the Abyss Island. But this Lu Kuan before him had already reached the intermediate stage of the original level. Calculating his age, this guy was only a little over 200 years old. How'd he cultivate? This was too unbelievable. These thoughts flashed across his mind. The surrounding air was filled with a tyrannical pressure that restrained him. Then, a terrifying spiritual sense entered his body. Luo Yuechi screamed in agony. His eyes bulged out and became bloodshot. Soul-searching technique. No, after about 15 minutes, Lu Kuan slowly opened his eyes. Looking at the lifeless Luo Yuechi, he said softly, Zhu Siming was right. The forbidden spell of the spirit sect was modified by you and the miraculous gate. You really do know most of the nodes of the forbidden spell. Lu Kuan stretched out his hand and said softly, Luo Yuechi, you helped the miraculous gate destroy the Yang clan's forbidden spell. Today, you will help me destroy the spirit sect's forbidden spell. You can go in peace. He clenched his fist, and Luo Yuechi's body was squeezed into a bloody mist by the immense power of the void. He kept the golden core and the storage pouches in his hand and said softly, This guy is smart. He guessed half of it right. We are indeed using the strategy of encirclement. Our target is also Shi Jingtian. Lu Kuan looked at the stalemate outside, and his eyes flashed, but that was in the Yunling mountain range. Here in the Yang Mountain Range, my mission is only to destroy the forbidden spell." Then his figure flashed and disappeared from where he stood. Chapter 9:39. Inside the gray pillar in the middle of the mountain, with Yu Longfei as the leader, the three-sword cultivators stood in a triangle formation. The three of them were surrounded by a pale gold shield. They formed hand seals and controlled their swords to attack. From time to time, they would release a few rays of sword chi to defend against the restrictive spells. A man and a woman, two original level cultivators, were surrounded by them. The man with thick eyebrows and big eyes was Zhang Lingfeng. The middle-aged woman with an exquisite figure was Fairy Feng. They were the original level elders of the Miraculous Gate. The two of them stood back to back in the air. A thick gray shield surrounded them. They controlled their treasures with one hand and guided the restrictive spells with the other to disperse the sword cultivators' attacks. The two sides fought back and forth. Even though the three sword cultivators had the upper hand, Zhang Lungfeng and Fairy Feng were focused on defense and were able to hold on. However, controlling the restrictive spells like this consumed a lot of spiritual energy. Even if the restrictive spells could hold on, Zhang Lungfeng and Fairy Feng were in the beginning stage of the original level and couldn't last long. Yu Longfei's expression seemed serious, but in reality, he was indifferent. Suddenly, the jade bracelet on his wrist flashed with a light that couldn't be seen. The corner of his lips curled up, and he said, "Fellow Zhang, Fairy Feng, it would have been fine if you had run away at the first moment. However, you insist on being in a stalemate with us. Not only is the restrictive spell overdrawn, but it also consumes a lot of spiritual energy. If you run out of spiritual energy, I'm afraid you won't even have a chance to escape." Fairy Feng sneered. "Yu Longfei, even if you say so, you are still trapped here. When the elders of the sect arrive, the ones in danger won't be us." Yu Longfei sighed. "Are you curious as to why our sect dares to declare war on the Devil Spirit sect, just because a third nascent soul sword cultivator has appeared?" Zhang Lingfeng and Fairy Feng's expressions froze. This was what they couldn't figure out. Other people might not know about the internal situation of the Green Alliance, but how could they not know? They were already having trouble dealing with their own internal conflicts. How could they dare to ally with the Heavenly Sword Gate? Or did the Heavenly Sword sect have other powerful allies? Yu Longfei's eyes gradually revealed a fanatical look as he said, "Because we have three nascent soul stage sword cultivators, we can use the tripartite sword formation that has been sealed for a long time. With this powerful magical ability, even old Devil Sure, who is at the peak of the middle stage of the nascent soul stage, is nothing to be afraid of." As they spoke, the three sword cultivators formed some sort of profound sword technique at the same time. The magic swords returned to their respective heads, and extremely sharp golden sword threads surged out. They interweaved in a unique manner to form a complex net of sword threads. Zhang Lingfeng and the others' expressions changed. They had to control the power of the restriction, so their flying speed was slow. They could only watch as they were surrounded by the sword formation. They quickly put away their magic treasures and mobilized the power of the restriction with all their might, causing the gray light around their bodies to become even thicker. In the face of Yu Longfei's tripartite sword formation, they did not dare to lower their guard. One could imagine how terrifying a sword formation that could give Yu Longfei such confidence was. The speed of the sword's silk net was not slow, and it quickly surrounded them. The gray light trembled incessantly. The sword threads were like countless thin swords cutting through the barrier. Zhang Lingfeng and the others could feel the consumption of the spiritual light and couldn't help but be stunned. The power of the tripartite sword formation seemed to be much weaker than they had imagined. The gray light shield borrowed the power of the tripartite sword formation and could even withstand the power of a nascent soul stage cultivator. It could even withstand the attack of a peak middle stage nascent soul stage cultivator for a period of time. Now it seemed that these sword threads only had the attack power of a middle stage nascent soul stage cultivator. The power of Yu Longfei's magic sword was much stronger than these sword threads. Zhang Lengfeng and Fairy Feng looked at each other and saw the confusion in each other's eyes. Even so, they did not dare to relax at all. They steadily maintained the tripartite sword formation and focused on defense. After the time it took to eat a meal, in the sky outside the Yuyang mountain range, a black light with an astonishing momentum suddenly appeared. A furious voice containing powerful magic power sounded. "Yu Longfei, how dare you attack our miraculous gate? You are simply courting death." Zhang Lengfeng revealed a look of joy. "It's senior apprentice brother Yu." "Haha, Yu Longfei. I'm afraid you don't know, but senior apprentice brother Yu has already entered the middle stage nascent soul stage. With the addition of the Great Elder, you will not be able to escape today." Yu Longfei looked at the light in the distance and gently smiled. "Is that so?" At this moment, the spirit sect's tripartite sword formation suddenly trembled. The surrounding spiritual energy seemed to be obstructed by something and stopped gathering towards the formation. The huge barrier of light shrank at a speed visible to the naked eye, and the spiritual light gradually thinned. The smile on Zhang Lingfeng's face stiffened. He cried out, "Impossible! You actually tampered with the tripartite sword formation." As the tripartite sword formation was destroyed, the barrier around Zhang Lingfeng and Fairy Feng turned into specks of spiritual light and dissipated in the air, revealing their respective protective shields. They quickly summoned their magic weapons. Bursts of light flashed as they tried to block the sword silks from closing in. The attack power of these sword silks was comparable to a middle-stage nascent soul stage cultivator, and there were so many of them that it was difficult for their shields to resist. But when their magic weapons crashed into the sword silks, the spiritual light of their magic weapons dimmed, and they fell down as if they had lost control. Zhang Lengfeng and Fairy Feng were horrified to discover that they had lost the connection with their magic weapons. It was as if the sword silks in this sword formation could sever the connection between their magic weapons. Looking at the sword silks that continued to encircle them, the two urged their other magic weapons and various high-level magic techniques. But every time these attacks fell into the sword silks, the magic techniques would be cut off and completely dissipated. "How could this be?" Yu Longfei proudly said. "The tripartite sword formation is not an offensive array formation. Its true strength lies in its ability to use the sword to break through magic techniques. Under my control, any magic technique attack with a cultivation lower than mine will be cut off." Looking at the terrified expressions of the two, Yu Longfei added, "Oh, that's right, nascent soul teleportation techniques are also the same." Then, under the despairing gazes of Zhang Lengfeng and Fairy Feng, the dense sword silks submerged them. As Yu Longfei said, within this sword silks net, any magic technique would be cut off. The two early nascent soul cultivators of the Miraculous Gates spirit sect didn't even have a chance to escape. Their divine souls were extinguished. Yu Yinqing saw all of this. The black light changed direction and drew an arc at the edge of the mountain gate, returning at an even faster speed. The middle stage nascent soul cultivator paled. The forbidden array was actually destroyed. The Heavenly Sword sect clearly planned this. No wonder the Heavenly Sword sect dared to make a move. They hid such a powerful sword formation that can cut off nascent soul cultivators' magic. They can't even teleport. If I was caught in the sword formation, I'm afraid I'd end up like Zhang Lengfeng in them. The Middle State Camp has already fallen, and the Spirit Sect has fallen. The Heavenly Sword Sect's next step will definitely be to attack the Yunling mountain range. His expression was extremely sullen. Damn it, of all times it has to be now. Does Yu Longfei know that the Great Elder went to the Blood Demon Mountain range? I can't care about anything else. I'll use the 1,000-mile talisman to ask him to come back. I'm the only one who knows that the Great Elder has entered the late nascent soul stage. As long as he comes back, these people from the Heavenly Sword Sect will be a joke. Yu Yinqing carefully looked behind him. When he found that the Heavenly Sword Sect didn't chase after him, he took out an ancient jade talisman. His lips moved slightly as he quickly sent a message. After a while, the jade talisman lit up with a white light. It paused for a moment before it kept flashing. Yu Lianqing's expression froze. I can't teleport over. The 1,000-mile talisman is blocked. Could it be that the Great Elder has fallen into a large restriction? His expression was ugly. I'm afraid we'll only receive the news after he leaves that restriction. Luckily, the Great Elder left behind a Yuan amalgamation demon nascent soul. Junior brother Lu and I can rely on the restriction in the Yunling mountain range. We don't have to fear the 3 sword cultivators. As long as we can hold on until the Great Elder returns, it will be the end of the Heavenly Sword sect. Chapter 940. Fellow Taoists, the battle at the Blood Devil Mountains has just begun. Old Devil sure can't possibly return so soon. We still have at least 3 or 4 days. Serene is already here. Let's wipe out the Spirit sect first, then gather the disciples and attack the Cloud Ridge Mountains. Hearing Lu Kuan's message, Yu Longfei nodded gently, then collected the magic treasures and storage pouches left behind by Zhang Lungfeng and Serene. With the disappearance of the Forbidden Formation, a few clever cultivators had already secretly escaped. Yu Longfei said coldly, "We'll split into 3 directions and destroy all the cultivators in the Spirit sect." "Yes, senior brother." Then they turned into 3 rays of sword light, wandering in 3 different directions of the Spirit sect. The nascent soul stage cultivators used their powerful consciousness to scan the cave abodes below. Rays of golden sword light bombarded the cave abodes. When the Spirit sect disciples who were still hiding in the cave saw how shamelessly the nascent soul cultivators were slaughtering low-level cultivators like them, they no longer held any hope of survival. All of them rushed out and fled in all directions in terror. Half a day later, the entire Spirit sect was in ruins. There were broken restrictions everywhere, and it was completely silent. 3 great sword cultivators, plus Lu Kuan and Serene, who were hiding in the dark, a total of 5 nascent soul stage cultivators. The Spirit sect disciples, whether hiding in the cave abodes or trying to escape, did not survive. Cultivators with nascent soul stage cultivators could not be stopped by low-level cultivators. Even a freak like Lu Kuan, who was in the treasure bone stage, could not do anything to nascent soul stage cultivators. The first step of the body refining pavilion and the Sky Rapier sect's war plan was to gather their strongest forces and use a blitzkrieg strategy to quickly destroy the Spirit sect of the Green Alliance and the Miraculous Gate, as well as their branches in Zhongzhou. This way, the Miraculous Gate's strength would be greatly reduced, and they would have no helpers. Just now at the Spirit sect, Lu Kuan and Yu Longfei did not end the battle quickly like the Green Alliance. Instead, they used the tripartite sword formation to break the spell, so that Yu Lianqing could witness it all. After losing the Spirit Grandmaster, it would be difficult for Yu Lianqing and Lu Liang to withstand the might of the 3 great sword cultivators. Only Old Devil sure could turn the tide. Moreover, due to the asymmetry of information between the 2 parties, Yu Lianqing naturally believed that the news of Old Devil Sure becoming a grand cultivator had not been leaked and that he would be able to catch the 3 sword cultivators off guard. However, how could he have known that Lu Kuan and Serene still existed? He also didn't know that the greatest mystique of the Sky Sword sect's tripartite sword array wasn't this spell-breaking mystique. Just as Yu Longfei and the others were massacring the Spirit sect, a faintly discernible beam of greenish-black light flew out from the abyss of the Cloud Ridge Mountains. A middle-aged man with a grim expression was wrapped within it. This person was the youngest, nascent soul stage cultivator of the Miraculous Gate, Lu Liang, who was promoted after the battle with the Yang clan. Although he was the last to enter the nascent soul stage, his talent was astonishing. His strength was much stronger than Zhang Lingfeng and the others from the Spirit sect. Lu Yang's expression was serious as he carefully controlled his beam of light and flew towards the middle continent. The Sky Sword sect is not simple. After the appearance of the 3rd nascent soul stage cultivator, they immediately attacked the spirit sect. His gaze was cold. Even if the spirit sect is destroyed, it won't be that easy for them to attack the Cloud Ridge Mountains. The Sky Sword sect must have sent out most of their disciples. At this time, the defense of their base must be extremely weak. Lu Yang thought as he flew. Among the first batch of Yuan Shun lamps that were extinguished, there were core formation disciples in the spirit sect. The others were all disciples from the Middle Continent. At that time, the three-sword cultivators of the Sky Sword sect were all in the Yang Mountains. As for the few resource points in the Middle Continent, although they were not protected by a great protective array, it was still not something that a core formation cultivator could destroy in a short period of time. In other words, the nascent soul stage cultivators of the Green Alliance still made their move. Lu Yang snorted coldly in his heart. Those two scoundrels didn't dare to attack the spirit sect with the Sky Sword sect. Instead, they bullied the low-level disciples of the Middle Continent. They're as cowardly as mice. If I tell them that the Great Elder has become a great cultivator and tempt them with benefits, I wonder if they will turn against the Sky Sword sect. Not long ago, Yu Lianxing used the 10,000-mile sound transmission talisman to tell Lu Liang everything. Lu Liang was different from Yu Lianxing, who was a veteran nascent soul stage cultivator. He immediately proposed a bold strategy. He would personally go and use the evidence that old Devonshire had become a great cultivator to force the Green Alliance to join forces and secretly attack the Sky Sword sect's base. Although Yu Lianxing was the only nascent soul stage cultivator left in the Miraculous Gate, if all the disciples retreated into the Devil's Abyss, the Sky Sword sect would not be able to attack in a short period of time. The Devil's Abyss was originally a remnant of an ancient seal. It was modified by old Devonshire, who was a late nascent soul stage cultivator. It could even use the Yuan Qi of heaven and earth to defend. With a mid-nascent soul stage cultivator like Yu Lianxing in charge, even a great cultivator would not be able to break through in a short period of time. During this period of time, if Lu Yang could persuade the Green Alliance to change sides and attack the Sky Sword sect's base, then the Sky Sword sect would be in a dilemma. At that time, Shi Jingtian would return to the Yunling Mountains and attack them from both inside and outside. The Sky Sword sect might even be destroyed. As he thought about how to persuade the Green Alliance, Lu Yang gradually went deeper into the Middle Continent. What's going on? Isn't this the Green Alliance's resource point? Lu Yang stopped in midair, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. He saw that there was a spiritual mind below him. The seal was broken, and there were many broken pieces of magical items scattered around. The air was filled with a chaotic aura. It was obvious that the Green Alliance's resource point was the same as the one at the Miraculous Gate. It had been massacred. This aura, it's a sword cultivator? Lu Yang was in disbelief. He adjusted his direction and flew towards another Green Alliance's resource point. The seal here was also broken. However, the attacker seemed to have left in a hurry. A few Foundation Establishment stage cultivators of the Green Alliance were running away in a panic. Lu Yang's light flashed and appeared in front of one of them. The greenish-black demonic hand grabbed him and used the soul-searching technique. After a while, Lu Yang mumbled, "Other than the sword cultivators of the Sky Sword sect, there was also a group of mysterious cultivators. These people were armed with weapons and used their speed and physical strength to fight. Isn't this method of fighting the same as Lu Kuan of the Yang clan? This means that the remnants of the Yang clan have colluded with the Sky Sword sect." Lu Yang had a deep impression of Lu Kuan. Back then, he was the one who sent the core formation disciples to kill him, who knew that the first group of disciples would die mysteriously. After he sent Ling Yutong, he found out that Lu Kuan had entered the core formation stage. Not only did he have powerful companions, he also had a level 6 beast with him. Ling Yutong returned empty-handed. After the Sky Sword sect destroyed the 9 Underworld Gate, their strength increased greatly, and they took over the Qing continent. The Green Moon Temple and the Qingyang sect formed the Green Alliance, and the Miraculous Gate formed the Green Alliance. The three parties were fighting for the resource points in the Middle Continent, and Shi Jingtian was in seclusion. Therefore, Lu Liang stopped his pursuit. He didn't expect that after so many years, Lu Kuan already had many disciples and was even colluding with the Sky Sword sect. They left in a hurry halfway through the battle. Could it be that they have a supernatural power that can detect me? Oh no, they are attacking the forces of the Green Alliance in the Middle Continent. What about the Qing continent? Lu Liang's expression changed as he threw the Qing Alliance cultivator away. In a flash of light, he flew towards the state of Qing. Along the way, he passed by a resource point of the Sky Rapier clan. Realizing that there was no one inside, his expression darkened. The speed of a nascent soul cultivator was shocking. In just a few hours, he arrived at the Qing continent. Using his spiritual will, he scanned the dilapidated Qing city and clenched his fist. From the aura of the battle, it was at most 2 days ago. The Sky Sword sect is too ambitious. After destroying the Green Alliance, they immediately attacked the Miraculous Gate. They want to take over the entire cultivation world of Wei country. The Great Elder has been a grand cultivator for many years, and he still doesn't have a plan to unify Wei country. What gives the Sky Sword sect such courage? Is it because of that sword array? Lu Liang was indignant. He didn't know that Jingtian went to the blood-refining sect not long after becoming a grand cultivator in order to seize the opportunity. He was severely injured by Old Demon Pang. Now that he had recovered, he rushed to the Blood Demon Mountain Range to participate in the battle against the demon sects of Qi country. Lu Liang's eyes flashed with indignation. In a flash, he shot towards the Tsang continent. The Sky Sword sect destroyed the Green Alliance and the Spirit sect in just a few days. They used a blitzkrieg strategy. The disciples in the sect must have come out in full force. I heard that the Sky Sword sect's Valley of Swords is the foundation of their sect. Lu Liang, want to go and take a look. Since the Green Alliance was destroyed, Lu Liang's mission was to go to the Sky Sword sect's lair. If he could lure a nascent soul cultivator back, the threat of the 3 great sword cultivators would be greatly reduced. They only needed to wait for the Great Elder to return, and then they could start their counterattack. After half a day, Lu Liang arrived outside the Sky Sword Peak. At this moment, the Sky Sword Peak was very quiet. The Forbidden Array was fully activated, and the air was filled with a powerful forbidden power. The mountain gate of the Heavenly Sword sect was centered around the Heavenly Sword Peak, which pierced through the clouds. The main function of the Forbidden Formation was to restrict flight. Even if one was in a late nascent soul stage, it would be very difficult for them to fly on the Heavenly Sword Peak. If a foreign cultivator wanted to break into the Sky Sword Peak, one way was to climb up from the bottom of the mountain. There were layers of restrictions on the ground, and the efficiency was extremely low. Alternatively, they could use a powerful attack to break through the Forbidden Array. This array did not focus on defense and could not withstand the continuous attacks of a nascent soul cultivator. Lu Liang floated outside the Sky Sword Peak's restriction. A pitch-black long saber appeared in front of him. As the nascent soul power in his body surged, a thick layer of greenish-black demonic light appeared on the surface of the long saber. It turned into a giant saber, and with a terrifying power, it slashed forward. Layers of cloud-like spiritual chi were thrown into chaos by the terrifying attack of a nascent soul cultivator. Dang! An extremely clear sound reverberated. Lu Liang was slightly stunned. There was something wrong with this sound. He used his divine sense to explore through the clouds. He saw that outside the restriction in front of him, a fat, ugly woman suddenly appeared. She squinted her small eyes and looked nervously at a green turtle shell wrapped around her body. When a woman saw that the turtle shell was not damaged, she let out a long sigh of relief. Then, she raised her turtle-like nose and placed her thick hands on both sides of the turtle shell. She said arrogantly, "Kid, you want to attack the Sky Sword sect with this little strength? I'll take care of this place." Lu Liang felt the shocking demonic aura that the other party was emitting and was stunned. Level 8 Turtle Demon. Chapter 9:41. Without another word, Lu Liang put the magic treasure back into his body and turned into a green-black light, shooting into the distance. His face was extremely ugly. The Sky Rapier Gate has an 8th-level demon beast guarding it, and it's a turtle-type demon beast known for its defense. He used his spiritual sense to check behind him and found that the turtle demon didn't chase after him. It seemed to be guarding the gate, so he gave up on the idea of attacking the Sky Rapier Gate. Lu Liang recalled the battle just now. What kind of demon beast is this? Its defense is too abnormal. The Green Devil Blade's full-power attack couldn't even scratch its shell. Even if Senior Brother you came, you wouldn't be able to do anything to it. The Sky Rapier Gate launched a surprise attack and wiped out the Green League and the Spirit Sect. That wasn't their full power. If they had the help of this 8th-level demon beast, wouldn't they be even more powerful? Thinking of this, he suddenly had a bad feeling. Or maybe there's a nascent soul stage cultivator hiding beside the 3-sword cultivators. They don't need the help of this 8th-level demon beast to take down the miraculous gate. Then he sneered in his heart. So what if there's another nascent soul stage cultivator? The news of the Great Elder entering the Great Cultivator realm is extremely confidential. Even I just found out. When the time comes, it's hard to say who will surprise who. At this moment, the 1,000-mile sound transmitting talisman in Lu Liang's storage bracelet lit up. He poured his spiritual sense into it and started to communicate with Yu Lianxing. The Heavenly Sword Sect's army has entered the Cloud Ridge Mountain range so quickly. They must have colluded with the remnants of a Yu Yang sect. Only the Yu Yang sect's blacksmithing technique could make such a huge battleship. Since I can't take down the Sky Rapier Gate, I'll gather all the forces of the Miraculous Gate. The Luo clan and the Yi clan already have many core formation stage cultivators under my protection. They can make up for the lack of disciples of the Spirit Sect. Then Lu Liang changed his direction and flew towards the southern border of the Lu Prefecture. Gue Linger looked at Lu Liang, who had disappeared in the sky, let out a bubble, and said, "Master, you didn't lie to me. As long as I block a single attack launched by an enemy, he would immediately run away. He wouldn't need to take the risk to fight." Not long after, a tall and slim woman with blue eyes showed up beside Gue Linger. She was indeed the leader of the Spirit Transformation Sect, Fan Yuan. She slowly said, "Uncle Gue, according to our leader's plan, our Spirit Transformation Sect can leave now." Hearing this, Gue said nervously, "I say, Yuaner, there's so many nascent soul cultivators in this war, and there are even powerful cultivators like Pavilion Masters and Great Cultivators. Well, it doesn't matter if I, an 8th-grade demon turtle, go or not, right?" Fan Yuan covered her forehead with her jade-like hands and did not know whether to laugh or cry. "Uncle Gue, all you have to do is to hold back that original infant stage cultivator. With his strength, he will not be able to hurt you. Furthermore, this is the pavilion leader's order." Gue Ling seemed to be very afraid of Lu Kuan. She forced a smile and said, "I'm just saying. How can your Uncle Gue not be able to stop an early nascent soul stage cultivator?" Then she turned into a blue light and disappeared into the spirit beast pouch on Fan Yuan's waist. Then, the master of the Spirit Transformation Sect returned to the Sky Sword Peak. She gathered the disciples and prepared to go to the Cloud Ridge Mountain Range, South Prefecture of the state of Qi, the Blood Devil Mountain Range. The cultivators of the 3 devil sects were engaged in a fierce battle. At the edge of the mountain range, there were broken restrictions and magic tool fragments everywhere. There were also many mutilated bodies of cultivators. Chaotic devil chi was surging everywhere. In the middle of the mountain range, there were a large number of cultivators fighting. The power of restrictions and all kinds of magic tools mixed together. The allied forces of the 7 Fiends sect and the Yin Yang sect were not as unstoppable as expected. Instead, they were in a stalemate with the cultivators of the Blood Refining sect. The 2 devil sects did not expect that the Rogue Cultivator Alliance, which originally belonged to the Yin Yang sect, would suddenly betray them. They cooperated with the Blood Refining sect and suppressed the offensive of the 2 devil sects. The 2 evenly matched groups began to pay attention to the depths of the Blood Devil Mountain Range. There was a valley covered by a black curtain of light. From time to time, powerful shock waves would erupt from there, stirring up the dense devil chi. The huge tremors even spread outside of the Blood Devil mountain range. Obviously, the strongest cultivators of the three devil sects were fighting in the valley. As long as there was a victor, this war could be said to be over. The power of a great cultivator was not something that an ordinary nascent soul stage cultivator could resist. Suddenly, an extremely terrifying shockwave erupted from the valley. The powerful black restriction was like a balloon that was blown up. The shockwave surged outwards. Many of the cultivators who were still fighting were blown away. Everyone spontaneously stopped fighting. The Blood Devil mountain range seemed to have quieted down. In the depths of the Blood Devil mountain range, in the valley where the Blood Devil cave was located, the restriction was shattered. There were countless ravines on the ground. Incomparably pure devil chi emerged from the ravines, forming black pillars of devil chi. The cultivators of the three devil sects had formed a tripartite balance. There were 5 figures in total. The leader was Qian Jingshan. Although he had a smile on his face, there was a hint of regret in his eyes. In front of Qian Jingshan stood a devil zombie with bone spikes and purple scales. On his sides were Situ Hao, Li Yanjun, and the Grand Elder of the Miraculous Gate, Shi Jingtian. 6 blood devil swords covered in devil chi floated in front of the 3 of them. There was a thick bloody light on the swords, as if they had just launched a terrifying attack. The leader of the 7 evil sect was an old man with grayish-white eyes and a long beard. He covered his chest with one hand. There was a bloody hole there, and dark blood was flowing out. This person was the Grand Elder of the 7 evil sect, Yuan Sha. There were 7 people around him, forming a square formation to protect him. A thick grayish-black shield enveloped them. There were only 3 people from the Yin-Yang sect. The ordinary-looking middle-aged man and woman were the famous Yin-Yang Saint Lord. Right now, there was a bloody hole outside Saint Lord Yang's dantian, just like Yuan Sha. He was already heavily injured. On the other hand, Saint Lord Yin seemed to be fine. Su Junwen stood behind the 2. Black and white demonic light flashed in his hands, entering Saint Lord Yin's body. It seemed to be healing them. Saint Lord Yin looked at Qian Jingshan and Shi Jingtian, who were emitting the aura of a grand cultivator. She couldn't help but sigh. Qian Jingshan, you're indeed not simple. I thought you would use the restriction of the Blood Devil Cave to fight against us. I didn't expect you to have so many tricks up your sleeves. We also didn't expect that after entering the Grand Cultivator realm, the illusion would be so powerful. Even we fell for it. Demonic light flashed in Yuan Sha's hands as he healed his injuries. He said with a hoarse voice, "These 6 blood devil swords should be old Devil Pang's natal magic treasure. That old man is indeed powerful. Even if you can only use 70 to 80% of its power, it's still so terrifying." Qian Jingshan shook his head and said, "This Qian's still miscalculated. I didn't expect the 7 evil spirits and fairy Su to have such a great supporting role. Otherwise, the 2 attacks just now wouldn't have been as simple as seriously injuring you. I don't know if you want to continue the battle. Although Brother Shi and I are also grand cultivators, we just broke through not long ago. We don't have the confidence to fight you head-on." Yuan Sha coldly snorted and said, "The blood-refining sect has a new great cultivator like fellow Taoist Qian and fellow Taoist Shi of the Devil Spirit sect. We don't have the confidence to defeat you in our current state. Farewell." Saint Lord Yin looked out of the valley and said, "The Rogue Cultivator Alliance is also your ally. Qian Jingshan, we lost this time." Then, as if they had discussed it beforehand, they flew out. At the same time, the cultivators of the 2 sects in the Blood Devil mountain range also received some kind of order and retreated out of the mountain range. No one noticed that when the people of the 2 sects left, Soul Fiend, True Lord, and Su Junwen's eyes met, intentionally or unintentionally. A strange light flashed in the depths of their eyes that could not be detected. Qian Jingshan looked at the cultivators of the 2 sects who were retreating and sighed softly. The 7 devils and Su Junwen with the Yin and Yang body can actually increase the strength of those 3 old fellows. Even after all our meticulous planning, we still didn't manage to kill a single one of them. Our blood-refining sect has suffered the most losses in this war. Demonic light flashed in his hand as he put away the 3 blood devil swords. Just as he was about to say something, his expression suddenly turned sluggish. He looked at his storage bracelet, and anger flashed in his eyes. He cupped his fists and said to Qian Jingshan, "Brother Qian, I have an important matter to attend to in the sect. I will pay you a visit soon and complete the deal between us." After saying that, Shi Jingtian turned into a streak of light and sped towards the direction of the Wei Kingdom's Lu province at an extremely fast speed. Qian Jingshan looked at Shi Jingtian's hurried figure and frowned. He couldn't figure out why Shi Jingtian was in such a hurry to leave. He didn't even care about the reward. "Junior brother Sidhu, send a clever disciple to the Wei Kingdom in a while. Since Shi Jingtian is so nervous, something big must have happened at the miraculous gate." "Yes, Grand Elder." Chapter 942. The Yunling mountain range was located in the northern part of Lu State and bordered the south state of the Qi Kingdom. It was a mixture of devil Qi and spirit Qi. Even in the Qi Kingdom, it was considered one of the best devil spirit veins. It was where the miraculous gate was located. After the destruction of the Shangqing sect and the Yang clan many years ago, the miraculous gate established itself as the #1 sect in the Wei Kingdom. It sat in Lu State and nearly half of Zhong State. However, the Yunling mountain range today was very different from before. The disciples of the miraculous gate who came and went were all gone. A large number of broken restrictions appeared in the outer mountain range. They extended all the way to the depths of the mountain range, as if they had been forcefully destroyed by some huge monster. In the depths of the Yunling mountain range, 2 huge black and white spirit Qi shields rose up at some point. They covered the miraculous gate's mountain range and the cave abodes of the sect's disciples. Behind the 2 restrictions was the demonic abyss of the miraculous gate. Devil Qi and spirit Qi circulated between the 3 as if they were somehow connected. The low-level disciples of the miraculous gate were placed in the core formation cave abodes and the mountain ranges restrictions. The core formation cultivators, on the other hand, were all in the demonic abyss. Many disciples of the miraculous gate who were hiding in the restrictions looked up at the sky in horror. There was a huge floating battleship with a huge silver spike at the front. They saw with their own eyes that it was this terrifying silver spike with unparalleled destructive power. It rushed from the periphery of the Yunling mountain range all the way to the restriction formation. The restriction formation below the late core formation stage was like a piece of paper. If it weren't for the timely deployment of the elders of the sect, allowing them to enter the restriction formation one step ahead, many of them would have died under the impact of the battleship. The battleships of the Miraculous Gate were like mud and clouds compared to this huge battleship. They really didn't know how the Heavenly Sword sect refined it. Was it the Yang clan, which was good at refining weapons, destroyed long ago? Boom! Accompanied by a huge boom, 3 shining swords with terrifying sharpness slammed into the black and white formation viciously. The terrifying power caused the surrounding mountains and rivers to tremble. After suffering such a terrifying attack, the black and white spirit Qi on the restriction formation dimmed for a moment. However, the spirit Qi on the surface of the demonic abyss was soon replenished. At the same time, the light screen on the demonic abyss flashed. This black and white restriction formation was slightly weaker than the spirit sect. However, under the Miraculous Gate was connected to the abyss of the demonic abyss, the spirit Qi's demonic abyss. As for the devil abyss, there were many ancient restrictions there. After so many years of arrangement by the devil spirit sect and the modifications made by Shi Jingtian, it could even draw a trace of heaven and earth Yuan Qi for defense. Even a late nascent soul realm cultivator would find it difficult to break through in a short time. Seeing that the grand formation hadn't been damaged much, the fear in the hearts of the devil spirit sect's disciples receded quite a bit. Many doubts emerged in their hearts. Why did the small Heavenly Sword sect dare to attack the miraculous gate? The Heavenly Sword sect had 3 nascent soul experts. But didn't their own sect have 5 nascent soul elders? Why didn't they make a move and let the Heavenly Sword sect attack the Yunling mountain range? Their elders obviously knew about the Heavenly Sword sect's attack. Otherwise, they wouldn't have arranged for them to enter the restriction formation. But what should they do next? Wait for the enemy to slowly break through the restriction formation, or counterattack. In front of the meteor battleship, a middle-aged man and 2 elders floated. Although they looked like they could be blown away by a gust of wind, their bodies were filled with terrifying sharpness. The 3 sword cultivators controlled the life sword in their hands. Together, they released a terrifying golden sword chi and bombarded the restriction formation below. More than 10 core formation realm sword cultivators from the Heavenly Sword sect, the first-generation disciples of the Body Refining Pavilion, and Zhu Siming and other core formation realm cultivators stood at the front of the deck of the meteor battleship. They maintained their magic power at its peak state and waited quietly. Behind the core formation realm cultivators stood a dense crowd. Among the Foundation Establishment realm cultivators, most of them were sword cultivators from the Heavenly Sword sect. Only 38 of them were disciples of the Body Refining Pavilion. In recent years, the Body Refining Pavilion's second-generation disciples had taken shape. There were 12 blood condensation realm body cultivators, 26 bone-tempering realm body cultivators, and 38 Foundation Establishment realm body cultivators. With the help of these body cultivators, the Foundation Establishment realm sword cultivators would be able to unleash their full power. On both sides of the battleship, there were more than 500 low-level cultivators, about 300 mortal warriors, and more than 100 Chi Refinement Realm Sword cultivators standing in groups. Although the peak martial saints of the Body Refining Pavilion could fight on par with Chi Refinement Realm cultivators, they were extremely weak in the war between cultivators. After the Battle of the Green League, they had lost more than 200 peak martial saints. They had suffered heavy losses. Of the Chi Refinement Realm Sword cultivators who had also participated in the battle, only 30 or so had died. It was clear that there was still a huge gap between mortal warriors and true cultivators. Despite the heavy losses, the remaining warriors all had calm eyes and a murderous aura. After experiencing the war between cultivators, they had transformed and their combat abilities had increased. The sword cultivators of the Heavenly Sword sect no longer looked at these warriors with disdain. Instead, they viewed them as equals. After experiencing the Battle of the Green League, they all knew that the warriors of the Body Refining Pavilion could use spirit stones to control strange artifacts. With the strength of their physical bodies, they could even kill late Chi Refinement Realm cultivators under special circumstances. Lu Kuan's main purpose of allowing mortal warriors to participate in a war between cultivators was to select outstanding warriors to refine their spirit roots. To be able to survive such a war, both strength and luck were indispensable. Another purpose was to speed up the integration of the disciples of the 2 sections. One must know that during the battle, the body cultivators used their physical bodies to help the sword cultivators block the attacks. Naturally, the 2 sects would form a certain friendship. Next, he would reveal the connection between the body refinement technique and the sword cultivation technique, and the integration of the 2 sects would be smoother. Yu Lianxing sat cross-legged in the eye of the array in the demon abyss. He felt the restriction being attacked and could not help but say, "No wonder Yu Longfei is so confident. Not to mention the other 2, his strength has improved so much." The full strength of the 3 sword cultivators has even surpassed the peak of the mid-nascent soul realm. Other than the fact that they can't use the chi of heaven and earth, they're no different from ordinary cultivators. Yu Lianxing channeled the demonic energy in his body and infused it into the array in the eye of the array. Below him was a small pile of demonic stones that continued to replenish his demonic energy. To link the restriction of the demon abyss with the 2 arrays, it required a lot of nascent soul energy. In order to deal with the upcoming battle, he had to maintain an abundance of demonic energy. Through the 10,000-mile sound transmitting talisman, Yu Lianxing already knew that the Heavenly Sword Sect's lair had an 8th-level demonic turtle guarding it. He had the same guess as Lu Yang. There must be a nascent soul stage powerhouse hiding beside the 3 great sword cultivators. So what if there is a hidden hand? The Great Elder is already on his way back. Junior brother Lu has also gathered the Luo and Yi core cultivators. Yu Lianxing laughed coldly as he listened to the loud explosions coming from the forbidden spell outside. The continuous attacks are obviously trying to force us out. With the help of the tripartite sword formation and the nascent soul stage cultivator in the dark, if the Great Elder had not achieved a breakthrough, he would have been in danger. At this moment, Yu Lianxing suddenly raised his head and looked towards the north. His face was filled with ecstasy. From the northern horizon, a black ray of light with an imposing aura was rushing towards them. Even from afar, one could feel the terrifying aura of destruction. A voice filled with anger could be heard from afar. "You Longfei, you really have guts. You actually dared to attack my miraculous gate. You probably didn't expect that I had already entered the grand cultivator realm decades ago. You are all dead meat." Yu Longfei and the other 2 sword cultivators were filled with disbelief. They didn't expect Shi Jingtian's cultivation to be so high. Yu Longfei gritted his teeth and said, "Shi Jingtian, so what if you have entered the grand cultivator realm? Let our sect's tripartite sword formation deal with you." With that, the 3 sword cultivators formed a ray of sword light and rushed towards Shi Jingtian. When the disciples inside the miraculous gate heard the conversation outside, their originally low aura surged. The Great Elder is actually a late nascent soul realm expert. No wonder the elders in the sect told us to hide and defend. It turns out that they were waiting for the Great Elder to return. Ha! Trash of the Heavenly Sword Sect, you are all finished. At the same time, Yu Lianxing's voice was transmitted to all the disciples through the Forbidden Formation. Disciples of the Miraculous Gate, the Heavenly Sword Sect took advantage of the Great Elder's absence to launch an attack on our sect. Now that the Great Elder is here, the nascent soul realm experts of the Heavenly Sword Sect are nothing to worry about. Go and fight. Destroy the sword cultivators of the Heavenly Sword Sect and snatch their resources. After this battle, our sect will be able to dominate the Wei country and become the only immortal cultivation sect in the Wei country. With that, a gap opened in the demon abyss and the forbidden formation outside. A large number of disciples of the Miraculous Gate rushed out. At the same time, the meteor battleship also shot out a large amount of sword light to meet the attack. After Yu Lianxing gave the order, he also flew out of the demon abyss. However, just as he left the forbidden formation, he stopped in mid-air. In front of him, a beautiful woman with gray skin and a strong yin aura had appeared out of nowhere. Yu Lianxing felt a chill coming from his body and couldn't help but become alert. It was obvious that this mysterious female cultivator was the hidden nascent soul realm expert of the Heavenly Sword Sect. Chapter 943. When the disciples of the Miraculous Gate came out, another black streak of light shot towards them from the edge of the Cloud Ridge Mountains, emitting the unique pressure of a nascent soul cultivator. Lu Yang's streak of light contained 6 core formation cultivators. They were the reinforcements he brought from the cultivator clans under the protection of the Miraculous Gate. Now that Shi Jingtian had returned to the sect, it was the best time for him and Yu Lianxing to launch a pincer attack. But at this moment, a blue bloated figure suddenly flew out from the mountains below. Carrying a majestic demonic aura, it fiercely slammed towards Lu Yang. Damn it, this demonic turtle is here too. Lu Yang's expression changed. He waved his sleeves and threw out a black demonic ball. Inside the ball were several figures. Then he met Gue Ling, who had appeared out of nowhere. After the core formation cultivators of the Luo and Yi families were thrown out, they were dumbfounded. Then they felt the frightening demonic aura and the surging nascent soul cultivator's power. They were so frightened that their faces turned pale. They hurriedly rushed towards the depths of the Cloud Ridge Mountains. Facing the full force of the Miraculous Gate army, the 10 or so core formation cultivators on the Meteor battleship flew towards the direction of the abyss to meet the core formation cultivators of the Miraculous Gate. At the same time, several streaks of light with profound auras flew out of the Cloud Ridge Mountains to intercept the reinforcements. A large number of Foundation Establishment sword cultivators flew towards the battleship on their swords. At this moment, the core formation cultivators of the Miraculous Gate discovered that there were other core formation cultivators besides the Heavenly Sword sect. The total number of core formation cultivators was no less than theirs. Then, before they could recover from their shock, the Meteor battleship in the air began to tremble. A frightening energy was brewing inside, and the shiny black steel spikes at the bottom of the battleship lit up with fire. A total of 38 iron balls covered in red steel spikes flew towards the Miraculous Gate at a frightening speed. The 200-plus Foundation Establishment sword cultivators quickly scattered into 38 square formations and followed closely behind. At the same time, the Meteor battleship let out an even more muffled rumble. The gigantic battleship rolled and shot out a large amount of sparks from its tail. Suddenly, it flew towards the restrictive barrier of the Miraculous Gate at a terrifying speed. The huge silver steel spike at the front shone brightly with silver light, exuding a powerful restrictive power. No one noticed that there was a tall and sturdy figure standing on this steel spike. Rumble. Accompanied by a blinding silver light and a terrifying shockwave, a huge hole was forcefully blasted open in the restrictive formation that enveloped the Devil Spirit sect. Several dozen small, flying boats flew out from the battleships and poured into the hole like a beehive. The Meteor battleship series of movements were incomparably smooth, as if they had happened in the blink of an eye. All the disciples of the Miraculous Gate saw this scene, especially the core formation disciples. They were so shocked that their jaws dropped. Although, without Yu Lianxing's control, the power of the Forbidden Array was greatly reduced, but it was still able to withstand the attack of a mid-nascent soul stage cultivator. Many people recalled the Yu Yang sect's extermination battle many years ago. The Silver Dragon flying boat also used the same silver steel spike to forcibly pierce through the Forbidden Great Array and escaped with its life. The Heavenly Rapier sect had indeed colluded with the remnants of the Yang clan. Inside the broken Forbidden Array was the entrance of the Miraculous Gate. Inside were the weapon refining room, the pill refining room, the mission hall, and other places where the disciples carried out missions and did business. There were many precious treasures of the sect inside. However, when the core formation disciples of the Miraculous Gate discovered that the flying boats that swarmed into the gate were all Qi refining stage cultivators and mortals, they heaved a sigh of relief. However, they were puzzled. Could it be that the Heavenly Rapier sect could see through the Forbidden Array and knew that there were only Qi refining stage cultivators inside the gate? But why did they bring mortals inside? Even the Qi refining stage disciples inside the gate could easily deal with such a force. As these thoughts flashed through their minds, they had no time to think about anything else. They focused all their attention on the core formation cultivators flying out of the Meteor battleship. As for the Foundation Establishment disciples of the Devil Spirit sect, although they were shocked by the scorching iron ball's imposing aura, they didn't feel any fear after sensing the Foundation Establishment magic power within it. They split into several tens of small groups and summoned their own magic tools to attack. The two sides tacitly separated the battlefield. The core formation cultivators fought in the air, while the Foundation Establishment disciples fought on the ground. On the other side of the gate, the sounds of low-level disciples fighting could be heard. Li Wan floated in the air and looked at the man and woman in front of her with astonishment. The man was full of heroic spirit, and his hands were covered with a pair of black claw gloves. The woman had a graceful figure and a sweet appearance. She held a pair of ice swords in her hands. They were the first-generation disciples of the Body Refining Pavilion, Zhao Qingtian and Sher Chao. Feeling the aura of the early core formation stage, Li Wan said in shock, "You two little guys have entered the core formation stage." Although she knew that the Heavenly Rapier sect had the help of the remnants of the Yang clan, she only thought of Lu Kuan and Qin Yushu, the two heroes of the weapon-refining peak. Li Wan felt that it was inconceivable. The little guys who were in the Qi refining stage in the past had appeared in front of her as core formation stage cultivators. Sher Chao's eyes were cold, and she said with a voice full of hatred, "Li Wan, you sneaked into the Yang clan and attacked Wang Ruobing's master. Today you will die." Hearing this, Li Wan couldn't help but laugh. She looked at Zhao Qingtian and said in a mocking tone, "Little guy, weren't you interested in me back then? Can you bear to do it now?" Zhao Qingtian said indifferently, "Back then, I was just a young man in my 20s or 30s. Now that more than 100 years have passed, I can see everything clearly. You don't need to waste your breath. Today is the day that the miraculous gate will be destroyed." After he finished speaking, Zhao Qingtian's claws lit up with a dark green light. His body flashed, and he rushed over with Sher Chao. Li Wan narrowed her eyes and sneered, "I, Li Wan, entered the late core formation stage 200 years ago. How can you juniors deal with me?" As she spoke, two dark golden crescent blades flew out from her body. They emitted the powerful aura of a mature magical artifact. They drew two dark golden arcs and attacked the two of them. Faced with such an attack, the Zhao siblings' speed suddenly increased. Zhao Shui held the frost sword in both hands and took the initiative to meet the two powerful crescent blades. Dang, dang, dang. A series of crisp sounds rang out. Sher Chao's body flashed around the crescent blades and shot out countless sword shadows. The tips of her swords touched the sides of the crescent blades and consumed the power of the crescent blades. Sher Chao and Li Wan were different from Lu Kuan. Their physical strength was comparable to cultivators of the same level. When facing an opponent with a higher cultivation, the best way to deal with them was to rely on their extremely fast speed and continuous attacks to consume the power of the enemy's magical artifacts. Although Li Wan's cultivation was at the peak of the core formation stage, her demonic energy was pure, and her pair of dark golden crescent blades were mature magical artifacts. Sher Chao also had her own matured ice swords. She was barely able to contain Li Wan's magical artifacts. Zhao Qingtian's body flashed rapidly, and he came close to Li Wan. His dark green claws tore at her demonic energy shield. The fierce venom stained the shield, and it emitted a sizzling sound of corrosion. Li Wan's expression changed slightly. The demonic energy in her body surged, and the jade pendant on her waist emitted a black and white light. It supported the shield, and the powerful defensive power sent Zhao Qingtian flying. Her expression became serious. The fighting style of these two was clearly the same as Lu Kuan's. It was said that after Lu Kuan entered the core formation stage, he seriously injured Ling Yutong, who was at the peak of the middle stage. The Zhao siblings should have cultivated Lu Kuan's strange technique. They have both entered the core formation stage. What realm has Lu Kuan reached? He is not among these enemies. Could it be that he is hiding in the dark and ready to launch a sneak attack at any time? Thinking of this, Li Wan's peak core formation stage divine sense was fully released. While fighting with the Zhao siblings, she constantly paid attention to the surrounding movements to guard against Lu Kuan's sneak attack. Just like this, the Zhao siblings entangled Li Wan, and the two sides fought back and forth. Chapter 944. In another battlefield of core formation cultivators, a golden sword light and a black flying knife were intertwined. Jiang Ting, a late-stage core formation sword cultivator from the Heavenly Rapier sect, was fighting a black-robed woman with an enchanting figure. This woman was the fastest core formation cultivator from the Miraculous Gate, Shun Mingyao. She wore a light purple dress, and her cold face exuded a strange charm. If she was fighting a male cultivator, her fighting strength would be greatly reduced. Although Shun Mingyao entered the late stage of core formation not long ago, When Ling Yutong's lifespan was exhausted, she inherited many magic weapons to her. With the help of the matured Devil Spirit Saber and the extreme Yin body, Shen Mingyao's real strength was almost the same as Li Wan's. At this time, she deliberately hid her strength and acted like a cultivator who just entered the late stage of core formation. Facing Jiang Ting, a veteran sword cultivator, she appeared to be barely able to resist. While controlling the Devil Spirit Saber to deal with Jiang Ting's attacks, she pondered. Strange, the Heavenly Rapier sect actually let aura refining stage sword cultivators participate in such a fierce battle. Could it be that they think victory is within their grasp and are using this to train their disciples? There are a lot of mortal martial artists in the team. Could it be related to Lu Kuan? Thinking up to here, Shen Mingyao used her divine sense to explore the surroundings. Zhao, Qing Tian, and Sher Chao. Lu Kuan really did perfect his cultivation method. That big guy's face is unfamiliar. He's holding two giant shields and blocking the attacks of several core formation cultivators at the same time. He must be Lu Kuan's disciple. The strong cultivator who used multiple diamond rings should be Xiao Hongfei, whom Master mentioned before. He's worthy of being Shangqing sect's top foundation building disciple. Using the ancient core formation method to break through, his strength is amazing. In the battle of core formation cultivators, Shi and Li Wan were restrained. Xiao Hongfei and Xue Fengqiu were fighting 4 middle stage core formation cultivators. The remaining early stage core formation cultivators of the Miraculous Gate engaged in a chaotic battle with the other sword cultivators. The cultivators of the Heavenly Sword Gate unleashed powerful attacks under the protection of a sturdy body cultivator wielding a pair of giant shields, forcing the cultivators of the Heavenly Sword Gate back. Shen Mingyao repeatedly scanned the battlefield of the core formation cultivators, but she didn't find Lu Kuan. She frowned. When Master went to hunt him down, that guy was already in the core formation stage. What stage has he reached now? The mana within the body of a body refinement cultivator is obscure and hard to detect if it is hidden. Lu Kuan is planning to launch a sneak attack. A series of questions arose in her mind. Back then, I used the vitality devouring technique to devour his cultivation base, causing my sunflower water body to transform into an extreme Yin body. My cultivation base improved greatly. If Lu Kuan were to launch a sneak attack, the first person he would attack would definitely be me, his enemy. Shen Mingyao activated her spell, and her pupils turned into vertical slits. Dark spiritual light flashed in her eyes as she secretly activated some kind of my technique. If I didn't use the vitality devouring technique back then, I wouldn't have reached my current stage, and I wouldn't have been able to kill my enemy. So what if Lu Kuan has reached the late stage of the core formation stage? The extreme Yin body boosts the art of great indifference beyond imagination. I may not necessarily lose to him. After Shen Mingyao took her revenge, the art of great indifference entered a new stage. She completely abandoned her 7 emotions and 6 desires. Now, she only had a strong sense of fear towards Lu Kuan. The revenge of a core formation cultivator like Lu Kuan was the price she had to pay for the rapid improvement of her cultivation base. At this moment, in the sky to the north of the Devil's Abyss, a terrifying wave of qi suddenly rose and rolled in all directions. The devil qi and spiritual energy in the depths of the Yunling Mountains were stirred up. The Foundation establishment cultivators fighting on the ground were still fine as the Devil's Abyss's restrictive spell blocked the qi waves. However, the core formation cultivators in the sky were greatly affected and had no choice but to shift the battlefield elsewhere. Shen Mingyao felt the terrifying fluctuations of the battle in the distance and was shocked. It seemed that the Great Elder had already started fighting with the 3 great sword cultivators. The aftershocks of the battle were already so terrifying. However, from the continuous aftershocks of the battle, the strength of the 2 sides seemed to be about the same. Could it be that the tripartite sword formation has the power of a great cultivator? Thinking of this, she looked around and found that Jiang Ting and the other core formation cultivators who were fighting her didn't have any trace of worry in their eyes. They seemed to be very confident in their elders. Shen Mingyao's heart skipped a beat. She quietly led Jiang Ting away from the battlefield. In the middle section of the Yunling Mountains, the cultivators of the Luo family and the Yi family rushed to the battlefield. There were 4 people from the Luo family. The leader was Luo Tianyue, who was once a disciple of the Yang clan. He had already defected to the miraculous gate with Luo Yuechi, the head of the Luo family. Now, he was also at the mid-stage of the core formation realm. The other 3 were new disciples of the Luo family who were at the early stage of the core formation realm. After the Luo family rebelled against the Yang clan, they gained great benefits. Under the development of Luo Yuechi, although they were affiliated to the Miraculous Gate, they could still be said to be the number 1 cultivation family in Wei Nation. As for the man and woman of the Yi family, if Lu Kuan was here, he would definitely recognize them. These 2 people were the remaining disciples of the Yi family of Qing Zhou, the Foliaceous Water, and Yi Zitao. After the Yang clan was annihilated, the Yi family siblings had defected to the Miraculous Gate. Their cultivation had reached the peak of the early stage of the core formation realm. When the siblings joined forces, they could even defeat a mid-stage expert. As several streaks of core formation realm light approached them, the 6 cultivators who came to support them immediately summoned their Dharma treasures and prepared to face the enemy. Luo Tianyue stared at 2 of them and revealed a shocked expression. Zhu Xiaofeng, Lu Xiao, it's you guys. Zhu Xiaofeng looked at his former fellow disciple and sighed softly. He and Lu Xiao controlled their Dharma treasures and surrounded them. The 3 sword cultivators of the Heavenly Sword sect activated their sword lights and attacked the other people of the Luo family. The remaining burly figure held a fiery red boxing glove and rushed towards the Yi family siblings alone. It was Yu Xian, a first-generation disciple of the Body Refining Pavilion. The Yi family siblings narrowed their eyes. This person was using a Dharma treasure to attack. They were very familiar with this kind of battle style. The Foliaceous Water's eyes were filled with hatred. Lu Kuan has already entered the core formation realm. Based on this person's battle style, she must be Lu Kuan's disciple. The Yi family siblings were telepathic and the mana in their bodies surged rapidly. The 2 of them were enveloped by a thick, faint golden barrier. Then, a pair of golden halberds appeared in front of them. The halberds connected to each other and turned into a giant double-headed axe. It spun and whistled towards Yuxian. Facing this enemy, the Yi family siblings did not underestimate them. As they opened up their defenses, they directly used the greatest power of their set of Dharma treasures. The expected explosion did not come. Yuxian's hands turned into a series of afterimages, directly grabbing the double-headed axe in the middle. The Yi family siblings' expressions changed, and they quickly changed their hand seals. The double-headed axe trembled violently and shot out a large number of golden blades. A cruel smile appeared on Yuxian's face. He didn't care about the blades that were shooting at him. Instead, he took a deep breath. His lungs and vocal cords contracted violently. An invisible, ear-piercing sound burst out from his mouth, instantly affecting his opponent's shield. The Foliaceous Water coldly snorted. This violent sound was directly blocked by the barrier and did not affect them at all. However, the Luo family cultivators in the distance were startled. The Foliaceous Water had a good relationship with Ling Yu Tong of the Miraculous Gate. They had spent a large amount of resources to exchange information about Lu Kuan. This did not contain any mana and was a pure sound wave attack. Therefore, their protective aura had long been reinforced with a soundproof barrier. Yuxian was slightly taken aback, and then he shook his body carelessly. Most of the golden blades with astonishing power had exhausted their power after piercing into his skin by an inch or so. A few of the stronger blades had completely dissipated after cutting into his pale, red bones. The body of a physique cultivator was the most powerful defense. In the next moment, the muscles on Yuxian's arms crazily twisted. He fiercely pressed down on the double-headed axe. A dark flame erupted from the fiery red gloves. A terrifying heat floated in the air. "Gotcha!" Yu Xian let out a roar and forcibly broke the double-headed axe into two halberds. The strange flames quickly spread over. Then, he threw the halberds at the Yi family siblings. Although the Yi family siblings had heard from Ling Yutong that physique cultivators were terrifying, they still felt that it was inconceivable to fight with Yu Xian. The body of a human could be so strong. They channeled their magic power and tried their best to control the halberds that were thrown at them. Although a large part of the force was offset, the strange flames on the halberds still fell on the shield. The shield trembled violently. At this moment, a man suddenly appeared behind the Yi siblings. He held a strange, short sword in each of his hands, and an extremely dense sword intent surged into the sky. Everyone's eyes were attracted by the rich sword intent fluctuations. The purity of this sword intent was almost the same as that of a late-stage sword cultivator. The sharp aura seemed to be able to tear through everything. Accompanied by a series of golden sword lights and astonishing sword intent fluctuations, the seemingly powerful magical shield around the Yi family siblings was directly shattered. Boom! A shocking spiritual light erupted from the Yi family siblings. Their figures flashed rapidly and shot out of the Yunling mountain range. Damn it, what kind of terrifying metal attribute attack is this? It actually has such a terrifying penetrative power. Yi Zitao's two arms had already disappeared. His face was pale. In the face of this terrifying attack, he relied on the calamity substitution technique to preserve his life. The foliaceous water's eyes were filled with horror. Is this also Lu Kuan's disciple? His attack power is even stronger than that of a sword cultivator. The double-wielding short sword sneak attack was Huang Xiaoyan, who had broken through to the core formation stage and switched to the sword body technique. Originally, the attribute of his sword intent was too shocking and almost difficult to hide. However, after he studied Lu Kuan's physical weapon cultivation technique and condensed a blood essence seed in each sword bone, his sword intent was completely concealed. Combined with the sneak attack of this pair of newly refined shurikens, Huang Xiaoyan unleashed an astonishing burst of power. He looked at the fleeing enemy and snorted. His body spun on the spot, and rich sword intent surged into the two short swords. He swung his arm fiercely. A blinding golden light flashed in the air and caught up to the fleeing Yi family siblings with lightning speed. A terrifyingly sharp sword intent rose. Yi Zitao's head was directly smashed into pieces. However, the foliaceous water still had the calamity substitution technique and preserved her life. She absorbed the surrounding blood mist and shot out at an even faster speed. Huang Xiaoyan took back the returning shurikens and laughed at the Luo family cultivator. His figure flashed and disappeared. Yu Xian did not chase after the foliaceous water. Instead, she rushed towards the other battle groups. At the edge of the Yunling mountain range, there were spirit transformation sect cultivators lying in ambush. A mere core formation stage cultivator with serious injuries would not be able to escape. First, set a small target. For example, 1 second. Remember, book guest residence. Chapter 945. When the meteor battleship destroyed the mountain gates restriction, 3 skinny figures and a middle-aged man stood facing each other in the sky to the north of the demon abyss. Yu Longfei's expression was serious. The sword shield around his body trembled slightly as if it was under great pressure. Du Gufeng and Lin Ming were only at the early nascent soul stage. Even though they were standing behind Yu Longfei, they could still feel the terrifying pressure of a grand cultivator. They couldn't help but reveal a bit of fear. Since ancient times, only a sect with a late nascent soul stage cultivator could be called a top sect. A great nascent soul stage cultivator could manipulate the heaven and earth yuan qi and could almost crush any nascent soul stage cultivator below him. Sure Jingtian floated quietly in the sky and scanned the battlefield with his divine sense. which could cover 100 miles. He saw the huge battleship floating above the mountain gate's restriction array, the mysterious female cultivator fighting with Yu Lianxing, the level 8 demon tortoise blocking Lu Liang, and a large number of strange cultivators fighting with their physical bodies. He stared at the 3 skinny sword cultivators and snorted coldly. "Yu Longfei, I underestimated you before. I didn't expect that the Heavenly Sword sect would not only secretly take in the remaining members of the Yu Yang sect, but also hide so much strength. You are close to the peak of the mid-stage nascent soul stage and 4 nascent soul stage cultivators. If I hadn't broken through, you might have succeeded." The rich nascent soul stage power ensured Jing Tian's body circulated. The surrounding demonic qi and spiritual qi became active and surrounded his demonic shield, emitting a terrifying wave of energy. "Unfortunately, you still failed at the last step." Yu Longfei's expression didn't change. He said in a deep voice, "Junior brothers, hold your breath and activate the tripartite sword array." Du Gufeng and Lin Ming both took a deep breath and placed their palms on Yu Longfei's back. Their natal magic swords shot out from their bodies and circled around them. They spat out countless golden sword threads, forming a unique golden sword screen that enveloped them. 3 different types of sharpness intertwined within the sword screen. Sword formation. I won't give you time to use it." Shi Jingtian formed a mysterious seal with his hands, and a huge black demonic claw appeared in midair. It was enveloped in a layer of unique light. A heart-palpitating wave of energy spread out from the claw and blasted towards the sword veil surrounding the 3 sword cultivators. Although it was only a high-grade spell, with the support of a great cultivator's rich demonic power and some heaven and earth origin energy, its might was astonishing. However, in the face of such an attack, the 3 sword cultivators behind the curtain of swords remained motionless. They did not utilize any defensive measures. It was as though they believed that the curtain of swords alone was enough to stop the attack. Shi Jingtian sneered and increased his devil claw, making it even deeper. However, when the demonic claws were about 30 to 40 feet away from the sword screen, a burly man suddenly appeared in front of the 3 great sword cultivators. This person's expression was solemn. His hands, which were wrapped in a layer of faint silver light, formed palms. 3 layers of distorted force fields coiled around his palms. His arms waved like wind and lightning, striking out dozens of palm prints. The distorted force field rippled between the palm prints, forming a pale silver distorted light curtain, blocking the black claw Qianfang. Buzz, accompanied by a dull vibration sound, the demonic claws hit the distorted palm prints and trembled rapidly. Except for the outermost layer of light, the demonic light inside was dissipating at a speed visible to the naked eye. Shi Jingtian's pupil shrank. He did not expect that an unfamiliar cultivator would appear. Even with his late-stage nascent soul realm spiritual sense, he actually failed to detect it. Looking at the strange, supernatural power displayed by the other party, he formed a seal with his hand. The black demonic claws suddenly shrank and turned into a fist-sized black ball. The black halo around it was unusually dazzling. Immediately after, the black ball's speed skyrocketed and forcibly rushed into the silver distorted force field. The burly man's reaction was not slow. He immediately stopped, waving his arms, and placed them in front of his chest. A medium-sized silver vortex appeared on his crossed forearms. Boom! Accompanied by a loud roar and a silver-black halo, the silver light curtain on the burly man's arms cracked inch by inch. The air within a 3-foot radius behind him was distorted into an arc, like an invisible spring that helped the burly man relieve the force. The terrifying aftershock drifted to the sides of the burly man's body, but it did not affect the sword curtain behind him. The halo dissipated, and the burly man stood quietly in the distance. Not only was there no wound on his body, he did not even move his position. He blocked the attack of a nascent soul realm cultivator unscathed. Shi Jingtian looked at this scene and carefully observed the burly man's face. He said in disbelief, "You are Lu Kuan of the Yang clan. How is it possible? How many years has it been? How can you have such strength?" Shi Jingtian revealed a shocked expression for the first time. He naturally knew that Lu Kuan was the main surviving member of the Yang clan. In the past, the Miraculous Gate lost 3 core formation stage cultivators in order to hunt him down. Combining all these, he immediately thought that Lu Kuan was most likely a secret disciple of the Yang clan. He was cultivating some kind of physical cultivation technique that had never appeared in the world of cultivators. Lu Kuan did not rely on any magical treasures. He only relied on his strange physical cultivation technique to block the spirit-exterminating hand that Shi Jingtian used with all his strength. It was clear how terrifying this technique was for the physical body. The strange cultivators who were fighting with the Miraculous Gate's disciples obviously cultivated this technique as well. But why was it that the Yang clan had never revealed such a powerful technique before? It was only after more than 100 years that the Yang clan took in new disciples to cultivate it. Could it be that there was a huge flaw in this technique, and it was perfected by Lu Kuan? Lu Kuan saw the change in Shi Jingtian's expression. He shook his slightly sore arm and smiled. "I didn't think that Daoist Shi would recognize Lu. The power of a great cultivator is indeed shocking. A casual spell was enough to break Lu's technique." Shi Jingtian looked at the calm Lu Kuan and suddenly felt that everything was out of his control. The combat power that Lu Kuan displayed was at least at the peak of the intermediate stage of the nascent soul stage. Why, Lu Kuan seemed to know what Shi Jingtian was thinking. He laughed. "Daoist Shi, are you wondering why I only made my move now? If I made my move at the spirit sect, I'm afraid that these 2 old men would have been killed before Yu Lianxing arrived." Shi Jingtian's face darkened. He heard from Yu Lianxing that Zhang Lengfeng and Yu Lianxing were first surrounded by the sword formation of the 3 great sword cultivators. Then, the forbidden formation suddenly lost its effect, and they were killed. Now that he thought about it, the timing was too coincidental. Why didn't the spirit sect's forbidden formation lose its effect earlier or later? Why did it lose its effect when Yu Lianxing arrived and saw the opponent's sword formation? Shi Jingtian quickly analyzed in his heart. In other words, the sword formation is just a distraction to make us focus on the 3 great sword cultivators. The opponent's real trump card is Lu Kuan in front of us. Wait, sword formation. Lu Kuan is trying to stall for time. Shi Jingtian laughed. Shi Jingtian laughed out loud. "Lu Kuan, so what if you had a trump card? I'll let you know that the mystique of a great cultivator is not something you can defend against." His demonic energy surged, and a black and white jade ruler appeared in front of him. It was surrounded by a black and white halo and shot out with a destructive aura. Lu Kuan's eyes shone with an intense desire to do battle. Blood, qi surged from his body, and the muscle fibers on his arms swelled up. Blue veins wrapped around his arms like pythons, and the physical origin force field around his arms seemed to have changed. The air became even more distorted. He raised his large and ferocious arms and took the initiative to charge towards the black and white jade ruler. A terrifying aura filled the air, even though there was a demonic energy barrier between them. Shi Jingtian could feel a chill in his body. His watermelon-sized fists collided with the black and white jade ruler. At this moment, the air seemed to have become viscous. Boom! In the next moment, a violent shockwave accompanied by a destructive aura exploded. The origin force field around Lu Kuan's body distorted violently, and he was forced to retreat a few feet. The silver light on his fists also broke, revealing his bloody fists. Black and white spiritual light intertwined on the white, jade-like hand bones. Destructive energy pulsated on them. But then, a shocking treasure light exploded from the thick hand bones and forcibly dispersed the remaining energy. The flesh on his palms that revealed the white bones also recovered at a speed visible to the naked eye. Shi Jingtian stared at Lu Kuan's hands and said in shock, "This aura The bones in your palms are actually magic treasures in the mature stage. Chapter 946. Sure, Jing even thought that his divine sense had an illusion. However, that incomparably dense treasure light was indeed a matured magic treasure. A human cultivator had actually refined his own palm into a magic treasure, and it had even entered the matured stage. Lu Kuan is only 200 years old. In such a short period of time, it's impossible for him to nurture a magic treasure to such a stage. Or could it be that this person's palm bone is a matured magic treasure passed down by the Yang clan, and he used a secret technique to integrate it into his body? Sure, Jingtian's eyes flashed with greed. If I kill this person and obtain his cultivation technique, would I be able to? Thinking of this, his expression turned serious. He used all his strength to control the demonic spirit ruler. In addition to the tyrannical demonic power, there is also an undetectable fluctuation of spiritual power in his body. The halo outside the demonic spirit ruler lit up again, and its speed increased. It turned into a terrifying black and white demonic light and shot forward. Lu Kuan's eyes flashed with a golden light. He was a little surprised. The attack from Shi Jingtian's black and white jade ruler seemed to contain a type of destructive energy. It was very similar to the energy produced when demonic power and spiritual power annihilated each other. Its destructive power was astonishing. Looking at the demonic spirit ruler that was shooting towards him again, he licked his lips and raised his fist to meet it. Back then, even the lightning tribulation that contained a terrifying destructive force couldn't do anything to him, let alone Shi Jingtian, a newly advanced grand cultivator. However, this time, Lu Kuan was different from before. On his ferocious fists, there was a layer of invisible origin force field. Many small silver vortexes were attached to the surface of his fists. Boom! Berserk energy surged violently, and circles of clouds and mist rolled in all directions. Lu Kuan was sent flying, but even so, the damage to his fists seemed to have been reduced by quite a bit. Only the skin on his fists was broken, and the jade bones inside were not exposed. The fine control of the origin force field on his fists seemed to have dissolved some of the power of the heaven and earth yuan qi. After entering the bone transformation stage, although Lu Kuan didn't cultivate, he devoted himself to studying the origin force of his physical body. The full use of origin force greatly increased his strength. He also summed up the difference between the nascent soul stage and the bone transformation stage. According to his research, with a physical body of 250,000 pounds, he could fight against an early nascent soul cultivator. His normal strength of 400,000 pounds was comparable to a mid-nascent soul cultivator. At this moment, Lu Kuan had used the connecting arm's divine ability. Under the influence of his entire body, it was equivalent to his entire body being able to unleash a force of 1,200,000 Jin. This level of physical origin power had definitely reached the late nascent soul stage. The difference between him and Shi Jingtian was the heaven and earth yuan qi. The qi of heaven and earth was equivalent to an extreme additional attribute, just like how the metal attribute was added to the sword intent, and the water attribute was transformed into the ice attribute, or even stronger. After being sent flying by the demonic spirit ruler once again, Lu Kuan's eyes were filled with arrogance. A grand cultivator can use the power of his nascent soul to activate the yuan qi of heaven and earth. My 2 million kilograms of origin energy is also at this level. Why can't I use the yuan qi of heaven and earth? His mind raced. After entering this stage, he had used the yuan qi of heaven and earth twice. The first time was during the 9-stage heavenly tribulation, when he accidentally activated the heaven hammer and used the sky-piercing roar to release the power of the yuan qi of heaven and earth. The second time was when he sparred with Yu Longfei in the Sword Valley. He used the origin energy vortex to absorb the sword qi that contained the yuan qi of heaven and earth into his fists. While Lu Kuan was thinking, He repeatedly adjusted the tiny vortex on his fist to resist the demonic spirit ruler. During the heavenly tribulation, I relied on the demonic weapon and bloodline divine ability. But during the Sword Valley, it was completely the use of my physical body's origin energy. In the past few years, when he had been cultivating alone, Lu Kuan had often used the connecting arms divine ability to study the methods of activating the source chi of heaven and earth. However, no matter how he used the source chi, he was unable to activate the energy hidden in the depths of the world energy. So he changed his way of thinking. He was able to succeed in the Sword Valley because the Yuan Chi of heaven and earth in the Sword Chi had already been activated by Yulong Fei. He only intercepted it halfway. If I can absorb the Yuan Chi of heaven and earth used by Yulong Fei with 400,000 gene of origin energy, why can't I absorb the Yuan Chi of heaven and earth for my own use now that I have the strength of 1,000,000 gene? Since I can't activate the Yuan Chi of heaven and earth, I'll just snatch it from the enemy's hands. Lu Kuan could clearly sense the Yuan Chi of heaven and earth by relying on the characteristics of the 5 elements Chaos Demon Bone. He could clearly see the process of Shi Jingtian's demonic spirit ruler absorbing the Yuan Chi of heaven and earth. While he was blocking the demonic spirit ruler, he was constantly adjusting the origin power vortex on his fists. The pale silver vortex was constantly shifting and changing, as if there was a surging stream of water wrapping around the huge and sinister fists. Just like that, the two of them clashed for more than 10 rounds. Although Lu Kuan didn't succeed in intercepting the Yuan Chi of heaven and earth, the silver vortex wrapped around his fists seemed to be able to resist the Yuan Chi of heaven and earth. The distance that Lu Kuan was sent flying became shorter and shorter. When Shi Jingtian saw this scene, he felt that it was inconceivable. He could clearly feel that the strange power in his opponent's fists was being perfected at an extremely fast speed. The damage caused by his demonic spirit ruler was getting lower and lower. Moreover, as time passed, the sharpness of the sword screen behind him became denser and denser. Shi Jingtian felt as if there was a sharp edge on his back. Lu Kuan has the strength to fight against a nascent soul stage cultivator. I'm afraid that the sword array of the 3 nascent soul stage sword cultivators has the same level of power. Damn it, they already knew about it. Shi Jingtian's face was incomparably gloomy. If the news that he had entered the late nascent soul stage wasn't known, then Lu Kuan and the 3 nascent soul stage sword cultivators would definitely use the means of a nascent soul stage cultivator to break through the forbidden formation. Several suspicious points were connected in an instant. These people were using the strategy of besieging the miraculous gate to attack him, a nascent soul stage cultivator. Only Qian Jingshan of the blood refining sect, Situ Hao and his wife, and Yu Lianxing know about my cultivation. Not only do they know this, but they also know that I'm not in the sect. Wait, there's another person who knows. Before Lu Kuan appeared, my spiritual sense didn't detect anything strange. Clearly, this kid has some kind of concealment ability that allows him to avoid the detection of a nascent soul stage cultivator. Could it be that he stole the Jade Bone humanoid devil? Shi Jingtian looked at the increasingly calm Lu Kuan, and a trace of hatred flashed across his eyes. A small black jade figure appeared in his hand, and he slapped it into his dantian, causing the demonic power in his body to surge. The demonic spirit ruler that was attacking trembled slightly, and quickly separated into 10 black and white ruler shadows. Each of them flickered with a halo of heaven and earth origin chi. It was as if many nascent soul stage cultivators had launched their attacks at the same time. Lu Kuan was incomparably calm in the face of this sudden change. He retracted his fists, and the flowing origin force field on them shifted towards his torso. The origin force of his physical body revolved around his body in a unique way, like a faint silver whirlpool curling around the surface of his body. The 10 black and white ruler shadows blasted into the rotating origin force field. The intense halo and the origin force field trembled violently, as if they were in a deadlock. At this moment, the demonic spirit ruler that was emitting an intense aura appeared behind Lu Kuan. This treasure took advantage of the stalemate between the origin force field and the ruler shadows to ruthlessly attack the back of his head. Clang! Along with the blazing, sun-like halo and the sky-piercing treasure light, the enormous remaining power formed a layer of boundless chi waves that rolled in all directions. Lu Kuan's burly body tumbled in midair for 7 to 8 meters before he stood up shakily. How is this possible? Your skull is also a matured artifact. Sure, Jingtian's eyeballs were about to pop out. The scalp at the back of Lu Kuan's head had been blasted off, leaving behind a jade-white skull. The treasure light on it flickered faintly, and it didn't seem to have suffered any damage. The palm bone and skull are both matured artifacts. The artifact that fused with his body can't be the jade bone humanoid devil, right? Lu Kuan shook his head and didn't care about the injury to his head at all. He looked at his fist with excitement. At this moment, his huge right fist was suffused with a layer of faint white halo, and he was tightly holding onto a black and white ruler. My demonic spirit ruler. Sure, Jingtian's expression changed. His demonic spirit ruler was being held by his opponent, as if it was trapped by some kind of artifact. Sure, Jingtian quickly mobilized the demonic energy in his body, and the demonic spirit ruler emitted an intense halo. Only then did he manage to struggle free from his opponent's grasp. Lu Kuan looked at his fist that had dissipated and suddenly laughed out loud. He took the initiative to meet the attack. This time, other than his fist, his entire body was wrapped in a whirlpool-like origin force field. The moment before his fist collided with the demonic spirit ruler, a layer of faint white halo appeared on the surface of his fist, while the halo on the demonic spirit ruler dimmed by half. Boom! A terrifying power soared into the sky. Under Sure Jingtian's incredulous gaze, the demonic spirit ruler was sent flying by the sinister fist. When Lu Kuan saw this, he couldn't help but laugh wildly. He switched from defense to offense and rushed forward. Every time his fist collided with the demonic spirit ruler, a layer of faint white halo would appear and gather the power of the heaven and earth Yuan Qi. He finally got the hang of it. First of all, once the heaven and earth Yuan Qi was absorbed by the opponent's artifact, it would be extremely difficult to snatch it away. He could only rely on the origin force field to resist the attack. If he wanted to use it for himself, he would have to intercept it halfway and snatch it away before the heaven and earth Yuan Qi gathered on the demonic spirit ruler. The amount of heaven and earth Yuan Qi that a late nascent soul realm expert could use was extremely small. Furthermore, it was guided from the surrounding demonic energy. During this process, the heaven and earth Yuan Qi was not only scarce, but also scattered. How big was Lu Kuan's fist? There was almost no heaven and earth Yuan Qi within the radius of its radiation. Only by using this kind of whirlpool to envelop his entire body and radiate a larger radius would he be able to snatch a portion of the heaven and earth Yuan Qi before it gathered on the demonic spirit ruler. Previously, when the dozens of ruler shadows besieged him, the heaven and earth Yuan Qi gather from all directions. The streamlined origin force field was arranged outside his body. It was even more refined than when he fought Yulong Fei. Most of the heaven and earth Yuan Qi was absorbed. Therefore, when the demonic spirit ruler attacked the back of his head, its power was greatly reduced due to the lack of heaven and earth Yuan Qi. It was easily blocked by his skull that was fused with the silver dragon meteorite iron. The intercepted heaven and earth Yuan Qi needed a strong carrier. The palm bones were inlaid into the artifact. When he clenched his fist, the power of the bone artifact was the most concentrated and could barely bear the power. Ha ha ha! Old devil, sure, let's continue. Lu Kuan was extremely excited. Through the use of his physical body's origin force, he created many kinds of battle skills. Whirlpool Finger, Jinyuan Palm, and Origin Force Cage. However, he still had no clue about fist techniques. Since his fist condensed all the palm bones, fist techniques should have the strongest attack power. At this moment, when he was fighting with Shi Jingtian, a late nascent soul realm expert, Lu Kuan relied on his 5 million kilograms of strength and the heaven and earth yuan qi to create his own fist technique. The unique flowing origin force field forcibly intercepted the heaven and earth yuan qi that a late nascent soul realm expert had drawn and guided it to his fist, turning it into his own power. It completely unleashed the power of a late nascent soul realm expert. Chapter 947. Shi Jingtian couldn't believe his eyes. Everything that Lu Kuan had displayed had completely overturned his understanding of the world. Although he didn't know how Lin Fan did it, the glow on his fist was indeed the power of the heaven and earth yuan qi. How did a 200-year-old kid absorb the heaven and earth yuan qi? How did he cultivate? What kind of heaven-defying attribute was the power of the nascent soul stage? Moreover, Shi Jingtian could feel that the demonic soul ruler consumed twice as much demonic soul ruler as he did before. At this moment, the surrounding spiritual energy suddenly boiled, and an astonishingly sharp power emerged in the air. A sword thread flickering with a golden halo shot out from the sword screen of the 3 sword cultivators. Shi Jingtian's expression changed slightly. His spell flashed, and a faint layer of halo appeared around his body. Soon after, he was hit by the golden sword silk, and his protective spirit light trembled. It took half of the halo to dissipate before the power of the sword silk was exhausted. Sword qi that contains the heaven and earth yuan qi. Yulongfei's sword array is indeed a late nascent soul stage technique. Shi Jingtian raised his head and looked over, only to see that the sword screen around Yulongfei and the other 2 had already disappeared. The 3 imposing swords hovered above their heads while Dugu Feng and Lin Ming sat cross-legged behind them. Their faces were pale and their auras were weak. Yulongfei's face twitched slightly as if he was enduring some kind of pain. Spiritual power that was comparable to that of a grand cultivator circulated within his body. His thin and weak body emitted a sky-piercing sharp force. He muttered something under his breath, and his hands kept forming sword seals. 3 golden sword silks shot out from the overlapping swords above his head. The terrifying sharpness of the sword silks seemed to be able to tear everything in front of him apart. Shi Jingtian's face was extremely ugly. He formed a seal and used the secret technique from before to split the demonic spirit ruler into 10 sword shadows. However, in the next moment, he realized that the sword shadows didn't absorb any heaven and earth yuan qi. As for the demonic spirit ruler that was hidden in the dark, it was directly blasted out by Lu Kuan's fist that was emitting a white halo. The remaining 10 or so ruler shadows were simply unable to block the 3 golden sword silks and were torn to pieces. The terrifying sword silk streaked across the sky and struck Shi Jingtian's black and white protective shield with lightning speed. An intense sword essence exploded and half of the halo on the shield was destroyed. At this moment, the demonic spirit ruler in the distance came back as if it had teleported and dispersed the 3 sword qis that had been greatly exhausted. Shi Jingtian's eyes flashed with a tinge of unwillingness. If Yulongfei and the other 2 were to fight him alone, they would not be his match, even if they could successfully execute this sword formation that could draw on the heaven and earth's yuan qi. However, it was different with Lu Kuan's assistance. This person's speed was extremely fast, and his offensive strength had inexplicably reached the level of a grand cultivator. He had to fully concentrate on controlling the devil spirit ruler in order to be able to block Lu Kuan. With Lu Kuan pinning him down from the front, Yulongfei's terrifying sword qi could find an opportunity to attack. A sword qi attack of this level was guided by yuan qi, making it difficult to dodge. Moreover, its penetrative power was astonishing. Using a shield to receive it head-on would be too disadvantageous. At this time, it was the same as being attacked by 2 great cultivators. Could it be that I, Shi Jingtian, have to run away with my tail between my legs? Shi Jingtian's divine senses scanned the battlefield in the Cloud Ridge Mountains. After a period of fighting, the disciples of the miraculous gate were already suppressed by their enemies. However, they still persevered in the battle, hoping for the victory of their elders. Shi Jingtian gritted his teeth and mobilized all the demonic energy in his body. The devil spirit ruler shone brightly again and blocked Lu Kuan's attack, following which a blood-red light flashed in front of him, and 3 long swords that were brimming with blood chi appeared. They were Old Demon Pang's natal blood demon sword. PFFF. A mouthful of thick blood essence was spat on the 3 blood demon swords. The 3 swords shrunk rapidly and turned into blood-red needles that were about an inch long. They drew 3 blood-red rays in the air and blasted towards the 3 great sword cultivators. When Lu Kuan saw the appearance of the 3 blood demon swords, his expression changed. A sonic boom erupted from his feet, and the air around him distorted violently. A terrifying treasure light bloomed from his body. Shi Jingtian's entire body seemed to have teleported and appeared in front of Yu Longfei and the other 2. His body was surrounded by a whirlpool of force field. His fists were flashing with a halo of vital energy that he had just obtained. Shi Jingtian faced the 3 blood-red rays that were shooting towards him. When Shi Jingtian saw this, he snorted in his heart and forcefully stimulated more blood essence. His divine senses increased by 20%. The 3 blood-red needles suddenly merged into one and shot towards Lu Kuan's Dantian with a burst of speed. Even if you have fused the Jadebone Devilman into your body and increased your physical defense, there are no bones outside your Dantian. After Old Demon Pang's natal blood demon sword fused with the silver dragon meteorite, its penetrative power is astonishing. Let's see how you block it. At such a short distance, Lu Kuan couldn't react at all. The blood-red ray shot into his Dantian and stunned him in midair. Although Shi Jingtian's face was pale, he was still very excited. His hand seals flashed as the demonic spirit ruler shot towards Yu Longfei, who was still casting his sword art with black and white demonic light and terrifying power. Clang! With a crisp sound, the whirlpool force field outside Lu Kuan's body started to spin again. The ferocious fist that was emitting a pale, white halo blasted the demonic spirit ruler away and exploded into a dazzling halo. Shi Jingtian's expression froze, and his face was filled with disbelief. This is impossible. 3 blood demon swords. Even if a late nascent soul stage cultivator's Dantian was hit, his nascent soul would be sealed instantly. Lu Kuan grinned at Shi Jingtian. A milky white jade bottle floated out from his ribs. It was some true demon water that he exchanged with Han Sha a few years ago. The jade bottle was opened, and a pool of purplish-black liquid flowed into his blood vessels. At the same time, Lu Kuan's blood essence in his body was mixed with the brutal, true demon intent in a unique way and gathered towards his chest. Lu Kuan raised his huge fist and pounded his chest with a strange fluctuation. The surrounding demonic aura gathered, and a black giant ape that was more than 10 feet tall appeared behind Lu Kuan. The giant ape's figure was very similar to Lu Kuan's figure. They had the same ferocious and thick arms. Both of them opened their mouths at the same time. Roar! An earth-shattering roar with an invisible fluctuation rushed forward like a monstrous wave. The surrounding demonic aura and spiritual chi seemed to be frightened and turned into layers of clouds and mist. The immortal cultivators who were fighting in the Yunling mountain range all heard the earth-shattering roar. Almost everyone stopped fighting and looked towards the source of the roar. After Lu Kuan entered the bone transformation stage, he could accurately control the piercing sky roar. He concentrated all the power of the sound wave in front of him and drowned out the black and white shield. After being hit by the piercing sky roar, Shi Jingtian's eyes bulged and blood flowed out from his 7 orifices. His body seemed to have been immobilized, and he couldn't move at all. Even a nascent soul in his body seemed to have been sealed, and he couldn't use any demonic power. The terrifying sound wave also carried an unparalleled offensive power. It wasn't inferior to the attack of a grand cultivator. The black and white shield around Shi Jingtian's body trembled violently, and the halo on it dissipated at a speed visible to the naked eye. At this critical moment, Two 3-inch jade figurines flew out from Shi Jingtian's body. One of them was the black jade figurine that he slapped into his body, and the other was the white jade figurine. The two jade figurines floated above Shi Jingtian's head and emitted a black and white spiritual light at the same time. An even thicker halo than before appeared. Shi Jingtian's eyes were filled with fear. If it wasn't for the protection of the Rong Yuan Jade Infant from the Dark Spirit Mixed Yuan Technique, he might have died from the sound wave. That earth-shattering roar seemed to be some kind of signal. Yu Longfei's sharp power started to surge violently, and 9 golden sword silks, emitting a halo of energy, shot out from his magic sword. The number of sword silks was 3 times more than before. While Shi Jingtian was being controlled, Lu Kuan took the opportunity to come to Shi Jingtian's side. His huge arms hugged the black-white shield. 9 terrifying sword silks followed closely behind and attacked the black-white shield. The terrifying power of the sword silks shattered the primordial chi halo on the shield. Fortunately, Shi Jingtian's nascent soul could be mobilized at this moment. He didn't hesitate to exhaust his nascent soul's source and poured out a thick demonic power. The surrounding energy from the heaven and earth gathered towards the shield. Lu Kuan squinted his eyes and frantically mobilized the demonic power in his body. The streamlined origin force swirled around his body and forcefully snatched half of the energy from the heaven and earth. The overbearing power of the severing fist battle technique was undoubtedly displayed. Under the plundering of the energy from the heaven and earth, only half of it was absorbed into the black and white shield. The shield's defensive power was greatly reduced. Shi Jingtian looked at Lu Kuan, who was stuck on the protective shield, and felt an intense sense of danger. A black flag with astonishing light appeared and quickly wrapped around his body. After the first round of attacks, the 9 sword silks outside had already depleted more than half of their power. However, they didn't continue to attack. Instead, they rushed towards Lu Kuan. The pale golden sword silks followed the whirlpool force field and moved to Lu Kuan's right fist. They intertwined with the energy from the heaven and earth and emitted a platinum halo. They emitted a monstrous power. Even Lu Kuan's huge fist could not withstand this power. His flesh and blood silently disappeared, leaving behind only the white jade-like bone fist. It carried a white-gold yuan qi halo and fiercely hammered down. Rumble! A glaring halo shone in the sky like the sun. The terrifying aftershocks surged in all directions. The powerful shockwave brought along a large amount of dust in the mountain range and rolled outwards. The demon abyss's restrictions that were affected by the shockwave flickered violently. In the center of the explosion, a nascent soul that was a few inches tall disappeared from its original position while hugging a pair of jade figures. Lu Kuan snorted coldly. A golden light flashed in his eyes. He stretched out his white bony palm, and a terrifying void energy appeared 10 feet away. Shi Jingtian's nascent soul was blown out. A look of horror flashed across the nascent soul's small eyes. Then, it threw out the black jade in its hand. Dense magic power exploded, forcibly breaking through the confinement of the void power. It hurriedly continued to teleport into the distance. At this moment, a strange object the size of a brick appeared in Lu Kuan's other hand. There were wriggling muscle fibers on it. It looked like a deformed piece of meat. Lu Kuan raised the deformed piece of meat. Domineering demonic energy surged into it, and he smashed it into the distance. The deformed piece of meat moved at a terrifying speed under the terrifying force of 1,200,000 pounds. It emitted a sonic boom as it shot into the air. A powerful shockwave emerged. Shi Jingtian's nascent soul staggered in the air and was shaken out of its teleportation state. It was then hit by the deformed piece of meat. It turned into specks of spiritual light and dissipated in the air. Chapter 948. Li Wan was floating in the sky somewhere in the Yunling mountain range. The round jade pendant on her waist was emitting black and white spiritual light. It constantly added to the protective spiritual light around her body and dyed it black and white. Two figures, one green and one white, were rapidly flashing outside the black and white barrier. They were Zhao Qingtian and Sher Chao. In addition to the 6 poison's claws in his hand, Zhao Qingtian also had a pair of small shields on his forearms. The shields were flashing with a black luster. Sher Chao was the same. In addition to attacking the black and white barrier, the two of them flashed and used the small shields on their arms to block the dark golden moonblades. Every time the moonblades were about to hit them, the Zhao siblings would bend the small round shields at a slanted angle. While their bodies would withstand part of the attack, they would use their physical strength to deflect the moonblades towards the black and white barrier. However, the moonblades were very agile and their success rate wasn't high. Often, they would only be able to deflect the moonblades after 10 attempts. Liwan looked like she was having a headache. She hadn't fought with the Zhao siblings for long before they stuck to her protective spirit light like plasters. After that, she became extremely passive in the battle. The combined attack of the golden moonblades was very powerful when she used it with her peak core formation cultivation. However, she didn't expect that the Zhao siblings would rely on the small shields hanging from their arms to change the direction of the golden moonblades attack. As a result, most of the power of the golden moonblades attack landed on her protective shield and scattered a lot of her protective spiritual light. Facing these two guys with astonishing attack speed, Liwan didn't dare to give up on defense. She simply didn't use the combined attack of the golden moonblades. Instead, she focused on controlling them and tried to find a flaw in the Zhao siblings' defense. She believed that with their early core formation cultivation, even if they used the round shields to deflect a lot of the attacks of the mature stage magic treasures, their physical body would suffer some injuries. As the number of attacks increased, their injuries would gradually erupt. Moreover, she was stuck to the Zhao siblings, making it difficult for her to fly and dodge. She could only use this method to wear them down. The jade pendant on Li Wan's waist was a defensive psychic magic treasure given to her by Shi Jingtian, the elemental fusion jade pendant. This treasure was compatible with the demonic spirit origin art, so it didn't consume much energy and had amazing defensive power. Li Wan's pure demonic energy was enough to control this psychic magic treasure and the complete set of golden moon blades at the same time. No matter how one looked at it, she had the advantage. The only thing she felt uneasy about was the battle on Shi Jingtian's side. On the other side of the demon abyss, terrifying shockwaves were constantly raging. Evidently, the experts from both sides were engaged in an intense battle. Under the interference of these chi waves, the battle between the core formation cultivators had already been completely separated. Shi and the Zhao siblings had also gradually moved to their current position. The Great Elder is already a terrifying expert at the peak cultivator level. Why is the nascent soul sword cultivator of the Heavenly Sword sect able to fight with him for such a long time? Only when both sides are evenly matched would such a battle occur. Could it be? At this moment, a heaven-shaking roar suddenly came from the direction of the demon abyss. Then, circles of even more violent demonic spirit chi waves rolled in all directions. Even though she was so far away, Li Wan could still feel her heart palpitating. Even her body was trembling slightly. Her physical body was instinctively fearful, and she subconsciously wanted to distance herself from the terrifying battle. Who was the one who let out that roar that shook the heavens and earth? Such a terrifying power is clearly some kind of unique divine ability. All the cultivation techniques of the Heavenly Sword sect are related to the sword. Could it be that the Heavenly Sword sect invited external help? These two fellows are really annoying. Even if they are flying, they are still sticking to me. That's not right, they are guiding me. Li Wan's expression changed slightly. She suddenly noticed that the three of them had been fighting for a long time. Unknowingly, they had risen to a height of 50,000 feet. The ground had already left the range of her divine sense. Something is strange. The divine sense of a peak core formation cultivator spread out. Li Wan raised her eyebrows, and the golden moon blade that was originally attacking the Zhao siblings turned around. The two blades merged into one and blasted towards the sky a few hundred feet away. Boom! Accompanied by a dull roar, an extremely sturdy man was sent flying a few hundred feet. He was single-handedly holding a gigantic, semicircular shield covered in steel spikes. This giant-like man was Lu Kuan's youngest disciple, Pan Yin, who possessed the body of solid earth. It was unknown when he had lurked here and was discovered by the vigilant Li Wan. Pan Yin grinned. His body flashed with spiritual light, and he flew forward. Li Wan's expression was gloomy. She could feel that the combined attack of the Golden Moon Blade didn't cause any harm to this big man. It only sent him flying. Even so, she continued to use the combined attack of the Golden Moon Blade. She didn't want to be stuck by this third body, Cultivator. Boom! Pan Yin was once again sent flying while holding the meteor shield in one hand. He shook his arm, and a similarly sized shield appeared in his other hand. Then, he retracted his arms, and two shields of similar size wrapped around him. As he flew forward, he used his body as an axis and spun the two shields. When the Golden Moon Blade blasted towards him, Pan Yan's body flickered slightly. The blade brushed against the edge of the shield. The huge force of the attack didn't push him back. Instead, it spun the two shields even faster. Then, no matter which angle Li Wan's Golden Moon Blade attacked from, the spinning metal lump was able to change the speed of the attack. It even formed a small tornado with a huge wind pressure and attacked the black and white shield. Li Wan snorted. Although she couldn't push her opponent back, she was able to test the strength of this big man. The aura of the earth element was only at the early core formation stage. His physical strength was similar to the Zhao siblings. He only relied on the strange pair of shields to have such a strong defense. Li Wan's mind spun quickly. An early core formation stage cultivator with a defensive magic treasure. Even with his siege, the harmonious essence Jade Pendant's defense won't be broken. This guy and his magic treasure are incomparably huge. When I get close, the Zhao siblings have less space to dodge. This way, it will be easier for me to deal with these two. Thinking of this, Li Wan didn't pay attention to the Zhao siblings behind her. With a flashing spell, the Golden Moon Blade in the distance split into two, turning into two golden lights, one on the left and one on the right, to meet the human-shaped giant shield that was attacking with a whirlwind. Clang, clang. A series of crisp noises flashed. The two Golden Moon Blades rubbed against the rotating meteor shield fiercely. An astonishing spiritual pressure burst out. With the power of a matured magical equipment, the rotation force of the shield was stopped. The giant shield carried the remaining power and bombarded the black and white shield. The spiritual light on the shield flickered slightly and returned to normal. Obviously, the damage caused by this attack wasn't high. But at this moment, the pair of giant shields suddenly flipped. The insides of the shields were facing the black and white shield. Accompanied by a huge shadow, the two shields tightly pressed on the outside of Li Wan's protective spiritual light. Pan Yan's two giant shields were 8 feet high and had a semicircular shape. When they stood side by side, they almost wrapped more than half of the black and white shield. Then, Li Wan's vision darkened. The Zhao siblings had unknowingly grabbed a pair of small shields in their hands and pressed on. Crack! There seemed to be some kind of mechanism on the edges of the 4 small shields and the 2 giant shields. They were directly embedded together, forming a grayish-black iron ball. All of this happened almost in a flash. Li Wan's magic treasure was still outside, but she was locked in the meteorite formed by the meteor shield. Their shields are actually embedded magic treasures. Are they trying to trap me in it? Li Wan showed an extremely uneasy expression. But because of the shield, she could barely sense her Golden Moon Blades, but couldn't control them freely. Damn it! Li Wan kept forming spells in her hands and took out a long saber magic treasure. A large amount of magic light flickered, but in the next moment, a strong sense of weightlessness came. Li Wan, together with the black and white shield, was squeezed on the edge of the inner iron wall of the meteorite. She was horrified to find that there seemed to be a restriction on the inside of the shield. Her flying technique was greatly hindered. Outside the shield, Pan Yin and the Zhao siblings were extremely excited. Their hands pressed on a few inlay points, and with the power of flight and gravity, they accelerated the meteorite. The meteorite's speed was getting faster and faster, squeezing and rubbing the air. The meteorite even burned with flames outside. With a rumbling sound of air explosion, it drew an arc and smashed down fiercely. Rumble! Many Foundation establishment disciples raised their heads and stared blankly at the terrifying iron ball. It was smashing from the sky to the forbidden formation outside the group of cave residences. The hot wind pressure brought by the meteorite's fall made them feel suffocated. Their eyes flashed with horror. Just as the meteorite was about to hit the forbidden light curtain, Zhao Qingtian and the other two separated the meteorite again. The shields were scattered in three directions, drawing a hot light on the light curtain. The black and white shield in the middle, with a terrifying inertia, directly smashed on the forbidden formation. A burst of grayish-black magic light rose, like a huge flower, blooming on the forbidden light curtain. Chapter 949. In the sky above the northern part of the Devil Abyss, the violent energy fluctuations gradually calmed down. The great elder of the miraculous gate, Shi Jingtian, who was at the late nascent soul stage, had fallen. Lu Kuan floated in the air. His arms had returned to normal. His left hand was holding a storage bracelet and a jade figurine, while his right hand was holding the prototype of a deformed piece of flesh. The muscles on the combat treasure were still twitching slightly. Its aura was a little strange, as if some changes had occurred. Lu Kuan's expression changed slightly. Just as he was about to check, his expression suddenly changed. A shocking blood light burst out from his abdomen, and three blood-red swords appeared out of thin air and were inserted into his waist. Shi Jingtian had fallen. The blood demon sword, which was originally in the shape of a needle, had lost its source and returned to its normal size. Lu Kuan put away the things in his hand and held the hilt with both hands. He directly pulled out the three swords. No blood splashed out, and the wounds on the swords were healing at a speed visible to the naked eye. Buzz, the blood demon sword, was held in Lu Kuan's hand. It was full of spirituality, and the blood light was shining brightly. It kept vibrating as if it was trying to break free. Lu Kuan snorted coldly. Some chaotic, demonic energy gushed out from his body and entered the sword. In an instant, the blood light dissipated. The blood demon sword seemed to have suffered a heavy blow. It let out a whine and completely quieted down. Then, it was wrapped up by Lu Kuan in a stone box made of spirit extinction ore and kept in his rib bone. In this short period of time, Yu Longfei and the others had also recovered from the state of the sword formation. They looked at Lu Kuan with an abnormal amount of reverence in their eyes. Although they were activating the tripartite sword formation, they had seen the entire battle. They didn't expect Lu Kuan's strength to be even stronger than they had imagined. Putting aside his freakishly strong physical defense, his terrifying giant arms were actually able to absorb the yuan qi of heaven and earth and unleash the power of a great cultivator. That roar that resounded through the heavens and earth was also very terrifying. They had never heard of a sound wave attack that could attract the essence of heaven and earth. Finally, the strange magic treasure that killed Shi Jingtian's nascent soul made them even more terrified. Even from such a long distance, it was able to force the nascent soul out of its teleportation state. Didn't that mean that if Lu Kuan wanted to kill them, they wouldn't even be able to escape? The tripartite sword formation's three essences sword chi was also a powerful divine ability, but it paled in comparison to Lu Kuan's. Yu Longfei slowly flew to Lu Kuan's side. He recalled his agreement with Lu Kuan and smiled bitterly. No wonder the Pavilion Master is so confident. It turns out that his divine ability is so powerful. He has the combat strength of a grand cultivator. I am willing to keep my promise and merge the heavenly sword sect into the body refining pavilion. Yu Longfei unconsciously removed the Lu from his name. His expression was very respectful. Du Gufeng and Lin Ming's expressions were the same. They were still unwilling to accept Yu Longfei's decision, but now they were sincerely convinced. With a grand cultivator like the Pavilion Master, coupled with the meridian strengthening method and the sword body art that Yu Longfei described, how powerful would the heavenly sword sect become in the future? Lu Kuan looked at the demon abyss and said, "The war is not over yet, so it is not the time to talk. Du Gufeng and Lin Ming have suffered great losses. Go to the falling star battleship and recuperate." After saying that, his figure flashed and he disappeared. His voice lingered in Yu Longfei's ears. "Brother Yu, there is still a strand of 3 essences sword chi in your body. I will leave Lu Yang to you. Yu Yinxing has already escaped. I will go and kill him." Yu Longfei didn't dare to delay. He turned into a streak of sword light and swept the dispirited Du Gufeng and Lin Ming into it before shooting towards the falling star battleship. With the mid-nascent soul stage elder fleeing and Li Wan, the number 1 core formation stage cultivator, smashed into a pulp, the remaining core formation stage cultivators of the Miraculous Gate all used their life-saving abilities to escape from the mountain range. The Foundation Establishment stage cultivators of the Miraculous Gate who were still persevering were being attacked by the body cultivators and sword cultivators. After waiting for a long time for the elders of the sect to come to their rescue, they finally couldn't hold on any longer and fled in all directions. Somewhere in the Yunling mountain range, a pale-faced, one-armed woman was hiding in a mountain rock. She held a few spirit stones in her hand and did her best to recover the magic power in her body. This person was the foliaceous water who had just escaped. Under Huang Xiaoyun's sneak attack, she used her calamity substitution technique to barely escape. Then, she encountered a spirit transformation sect disciple who had been lying in ambush for a long time at the edge of the Yunling mountain range. The core formation stage disciples of the spirit transformation sect all had spirit beasts of grade 5 and above accompanying them. They were equivalent to 2 core formation stage cultivators and possessed astonishing battle prowess. The heavily injured foliaceous water was naturally no match for them. She used a large amount of life-saving treasures to confuse them and sneak back into the Yunling mountain range. The foliaceous water slowly opened her eyes. After a short while of adjusting her breathing, she barely managed to stabilize her injuries. In such a dangerous battlefield, she didn't dare to spend too much time recuperating. In her current state, any core formation stage cultivator could kill her. Damn it, that guy used a magic treasure to attack. He was clearly Lu Kuan's disciple. But why was the sword intent in his body even stronger than the sword cultivators of the Heavenly Sword sect? If it wasn't for Big Brother risking his life to save me, I'm afraid I would have already died. Her heart was filled with incomparable fear. Back in the spiritual demon valley, Lu Kuan was only a chi condensation stage cultivator like her and was almost killed by her. Who would have thought that she wouldn't even be able to defeat his disciple now? The foliaceous water took a deep breath and calmed herself down. Lu Kuan was no longer someone she could deal with. What she needed to do now was to find a way to survive. I wonder how the battle outside is going. Senior Sure is already a late nascent soul stage cultivator. After such a long time, he should have dealt with the other nascent soul stage cultivators. Isn't that the Foundation Establishment disciples of the Miraculous Gate? They're fleeing in such a panic. Could it be that the numerous Foundation Establishment disciples of the Miraculous Gate have also been defeated? In the forest, not far away, 2 late Foundation Establishment disciples of the Miraculous Gate were controlling a spirit boat. Like birds startled by the twang of a bow, they didn't seem to dare to come out of the forest and could only fly at a low altitude. Behind the 2 were a man and 2 women. These 3 people's figures were nimble and quick. They quickly flew through the forest, stirring up bursts of smoke and dust. It was as if they were using some kind of martial arts of the secular world. Their speed was even faster than the low-altitude flying boat. The middle-aged man in the lead had a somewhat unique figure. Both of his hands were wrapped in fiery red boxing gloves. Compared to his thick left arm, his right arm was small and thin, extremely uncoordinated. A young woman with a scar on her face ran beside the man, holding a pair of light yellow short knives in her hands. The last person was a young woman with a slender figure, with 2 3-foot-long swords at her waist. The young woman judged the distance between them and the miraculous gate disciples. Suddenly, she drew her sword with one hand. Accompanied by a bright golden light, the 3-foot-long sword was thrown out by her. An extremely sharp aura flashed through the forest. The surrounding leaves and vegetation were pressed down by this powerful sword intent. The faces of the 2 miraculous gate disciples changed greatly. They hurriedly took out an umbrella-shaped magic tool and placed it behind their backs. Then, the long sword with a bright golden light blasted out. Intense spiritual light intertwined. The umbrella-shaped magic tool barely blocked the long sword. But in the next moment, another strong aura of sharpness appeared. A second long sword shot out. Boom! The attack of the 2 swords not only contained an extremely sharp metal attribute magic power, but also a powerful brute force. The umbrella-shaped magic tool couldn't withstand it at all. Together with the flying boat, it was blasted away and hit the rock wall on the side. With this delay, the man and the 2 women had already arrived in front of the mountain wall. They held weapons in their hands. Middle Foundation establishment, stage, magic power fluctuations, and powerful brute force surged endlessly. Flashes of light and sword flashed. The 2 miraculous gate disciples, who had reached the late Foundation establishment stage, had their defenses broken and their souls destroyed. Just as the 3 of them were about to tidy up their spoils of war, a nearby mountain shattered with a loud rumble. A golden halberd that emitted an intense light shot towards them with the terrifying might of a core formation cultivator. At such a close distance, coupled with the amazing speed of the magic tool, the young woman with the scar, who was closest to the halberd, only had time to raise the 2 knives in her hands. Boom! The golden halberd was imbued with the metal attribute. Its destructive power was astonishing. The young woman didn't have the strength to resist at all. The moment the 2 sides collided, the light yellow short knives were knocked away. The golden light blasted the young woman's hand, which was split open between her thumb and index finger. At this moment, the middle-aged man had already reacted. He kicked the young woman and sent her flying. The muscles on his skinny right arm swelled up as if they were inflated with air. The fiery red glove grabbed the blade at the front of the golden halberd. An incomparably rich metal attribute aura erupted. The middle-aged man's left hand pressed against his swollen right forearm. His whole body was repelled by the terrifying power. He slid more than 10 feet on the rocks and soil on the ground. The fiery red glove on his right hand was blasted apart by the powerful metal attribute light of the golden halberd. Most of the flesh on his hand was also evaporated, revealing the incomparably dark palm bones. There was a black luster flowing on the surface, and there was no sign of it being broken. This amazing halberd magic tool that had destroyed 2 magic tools in succession was actually blocked by the middle-aged man's small palm bones, the ancestor of body cultivators. Chapter 950. The foliaceous water flew out of the cave with an expression of disbelief. She originally thought that the full force attack of the halberd would be able to kill all 3 of Lu Kuan's disciples in one breath. Who knew that it would only injure one of them before it was blocked by the man's body? Wait a minute, the arm bone of this Foundation establishment stage cultivator is actually a magic weapon. How is this possible? Cough, cough. The full force attack of the magic weapon just now affected her injuries. She felt a sharp pain in her dantian. She hurriedly channeled her magic power to suppress the injuries in her body. At this moment, 2 golden sword auras, carrying a strong, sharp aura, shot over and bombarded the protective shield of the foliaceous water, causing the metal attribute's spiritual aura to tremble. The foliaceous water's eyes flashed with a trace of hatred. Sword intent again. A little girl in the middle stage of the Foundation establishment stage has sword intent magic power. What kind of techniques do these disciples of Lu Kuan practice? She hurriedly swallowed a pill. Although the other party has sword intent, her magic power is too weak to break through the defense. Once she suppresses her injuries, she will kill this girl first. On the ground in the forest, Li Qinfeng's expression was incomparably solemn. The arm bone of the demon arm was stuck on the front edge of the halberd. The lava glove on his left hand tightly gripped the halberd's body, desperately suppressing the fiercely beating core formation stage magic weapon. The scarred woman's breathing was weak. She lay under a huge tree, her left arm twisted into a strange angle. She had fainted. Not far away, Duan Yun stood in place. She took back the long sword with both hands and calmly thought, "Eldest senior brother has the demon arm refined by the ancestor. It's not surprising that he can block the magic weapon's frontal attack. However, he can still suppress the magic weapon. This means that the enemy is seriously injured. The magic power in her body is in chaos, and she can't even control the magic weapon. I have to seize this opportunity. If her magic power stabilizes and she activates the magic weapon again, we won't be her opponent at all." Duan Yun didn't even think of running away. In this way, the enemy would have enough time to recover. With the speed of a core formation stage cultivator, she could definitely catch up with them. It was better to fight with all her strength while the enemy was recovering. This pair of long swords cannot unleash the full power of the mana of the sword will. My opponent cultivates in the cultivation method of the metal element. Only by condensing the strongest sword will and breaking the surface with a single point can I break through his defense. Duan Yun stabbed the two swords into the ground. The blood magic power of the sword intent and the rich blood essence in her body gathered towards her chest. Her sword intent aura became purer and purer. A hint of ruthlessness flashed in her eyes. She raised her right hand and stabbed it into her own chest. Crack! The Treasure Pavilion's senior refined the sword bone. Not only was it mixed with many precious materials, but it was also integrated with a metal attribute gold core. The material is no worse than a top-grade magic weapon. After condensing all the sword intent in my body, it's perfect to deal with a magic shield. Duan Yun's muscles contracted rapidly. Her tall and slender body spun rapidly on the spot. The sword bone dagger turned into a golden light and blasted into the distance. The rich sword intent aura condensed in the sword bone, emitting a strong golden light. The foliaceous water, who was healing, was shocked by this aura and couldn't help but open her eyes. Boom! The sword bone blasted onto the foliaceous water's shield. The metal attribute defensive spirit light seemed to be forced by the pure sword intent. The spirit light scattered, and half of the sword bone penetrated the shield. The foliaceous water felt cold all over. The bone-piercing sword intent seemed to be pointing at her forehead, as if it would break the shield in the next moment. She didn't care about healing. She opened her mouth and spat out a golden ball of spirit light. It directly blasted onto the sword bone, and the sword bone was directly blasted away. At this moment, Li Qianfeng in the distance controlled the halberd magic weapon and threw it over. With a whistling sound, it accurately blasted towards the small gap in the shield. But who would have thought that the golden ball of light would split into two? One of the balls fused with the halberd, controlling it and suspending it in front of Yi Zishui. The other ball of golden light fused with a magical power shield, strengthening its defense. The foliaceous water's eyes flashed with anger. She had just stimulated the origin power of her gold core. In the future, even if she recovered from her injuries, her cultivation would regress. She had stimulated her origin power. Even if the magic power in her body was chaotic, she could still control the magic weapon. The golden halberd carried a terrifying power and shot out again. Duan Yun caught the dim sword bone. The sword intent and magic power inside had been exhausted. Her eyes revealed a bit of despair. Her strongest attack had failed, and her opponent had regained control of his magic power. Were they going to die here? At this moment, Li Qianfeng's tall figure blocked in front of Duanyun. He grabbed her shoulder and threw her out. He looked at the powerful core formation magic weapon that was shooting towards him. He couldn't help but think of Lu Kuan's voice transmission. Qianfeng, the demon arm is your greatest opportunity. When you reach the core formation stage in the future, you can let the demonic power in the demon arm engulf your flesh and organs. It will skyrocket to the great circle of foundation establishment. Demonic power and magic power repel each other. With the external pressure of the demonic power, the chances of the magic power crystallization will greatly increase. After that, with the magic power of the core formation stage, the demonic power in the foundation establishment stage will still be under your control. Remember, you can only release your chi and blood demonic energy when you're condensing your core and infusing your bones. Under other circumstances, your chi and blood demonic energy will most likely devour your bones. At that time, you can only cultivate the flawed cloud flow body tempering art. Clang, Li Qianfeng's demon arm, which had lost its flesh and blood, blocked the golden halberd once again. Although the enemy in front of him was seriously injured, he was still a core formation cultivator. His physical strength was only around 30,000 pounds, and the strength of the demon arm was even weaker. However, the bones of his demon arm were firmly stuck on the blade of the halberd. An extremely greedy, demonic power filled the air. Li Qianfeng muttered in his heart, "Ancestor, I've failed you. Martial Ancestor, Qianfeng has failed to live up to your expectations. I'm afraid that I won't be able to wait until the day of core formation and bone fusion. Without the support of powerful chi and devil chi, my devil arm will not be able to withstand the might of a core formation cultivator." Junior sister sword bones have just formed. It's related to the creation of the tool spirit roots, tool nurturing technique. Nothing can happen to her. Only with this method can I resist the might of a core formation cultivator. Li Qianfeng, who was sliding on the ground with the halberd, trembled violently. His eyes emitted a red light, and his face revealed a crazed expression. "Come, devour my demonic power. Devour my flesh and blood to your heart's content." An excited scream seemed to come from the demon arm. The greedy demonic aura spread all over his body. The trembling muscles on his body withered at a speed visible to the naked eye. The demonic chi in a mountain forest seemed to have sensed something and gathered towards him. The muscles on the demonic arm that had been shattered by the halberd's treasured light recovered in the blink of an eye and continued to swell. Thick muscles intertwined, and the originally thin and weak demonic arm grew to 3 times its original size in just a few breaths. The other parts of Li Qianfeng's body were all skin and bones. His body was mixed with magic power and demonic power, both of which were at the peak of the early foundation establishment stage. Then, an astonishing destructive power appeared in the demon arm's palm and poured into the golden halberd. The halberd trembled violently, and the light on it gradually dimmed. The foliaceous water was dumbfounded. She felt the destructive power being poured into the golden spirit halberd and seemed to have destroyed something. Coupled with her serious injuries, she actually lost the ability to sense her magic weapon for a moment. The demon arm was filled with an intense light, and its strength almost doubled from the original 30,000 kilograms to 70,000 kilograms. Li Qianfeng held the halberd tightly and threw it out with all his might. Then, a destructive power erupted from his feet and blasted a deep hole in the ground as he madly ran away. The golden halberd was like a bolt of lightning as it slammed into the foliaceous water shield. The light on the shield flickered slightly, as if the damage was limited. However, the enormous force behind the attack sent Li Qianfeng and her shield flying into the rock wall behind her. After approaching the foliaceous water, Li Qianfeng's expression became even crazier. The early Foundation establishment stage magic power in his bones all poured into the demon arm, and an even more terrifying destructive aura soared into the sky. The deformed and thick muscles on the demon arm twitched violently, and a large amount of blood flowed out. Suddenly, a strange aura emerged from within. The hair on the foliaceous water's body stood on end. After losing the ability to sense her magic weapon, she could only pour the magic power she could control into her magic power shield. In the next moment, the deformed demon arm's fist carried an inexplicable vibration and fiercely bombarded the shield filled with golden light. What kind of magic is this? The foliaceous water stared blankly at the deformed demon arm. In the next moment, her eyes directly exploded. The enormous power of the demon arm seemed to have penetrated her magic power shield and affected her physical body. Her flesh and golden core were instantly shattered. The foliaceous water couldn't believe that she would inexplicably die at the hands of a Foundation establishment stage cultivator. With a plop, Li Qianfeng fell to the ground. The muscles on the demon arm rapidly withered, and his blood magic power greedily rushed to the bones in his body. Li Qianfeng's expression was calm. He had already expected this scene. The magic power in his bones had been exhausted in the explosion just now. His blood magic power had fallen into a weakened state and urgently needed to be replenished. Naturally, it would devour his bones. Li Qianfeng was a blood condensation stage body cultivator. After so many years of tempering, his bones were already equivalent to magic tools. His weakened blood magic power was very difficult to devour. At this moment, Yi Zishui's blood-soaked body slid down from the mountain wall and collapsed on the demonic arm. This blood-soaked body was still mixed with the shattered gold core and was filled with spiritual energy fluctuations. The blood magic power seemed to have found another food, and all of it rushed back to the demon arm. The bloody body, filled with spiritual power, gradually entered the demon arm and entered the bone marrow cavity. It was then wrapped up by the blood magic power. At the same time that the blood magic power was replenished, a small amount of destructive power was spat out and spread outside the bone marrow cavity. In a short moment, the foliaceous water's flesh was completely devoured. Even the remnants of her golden core disappeared. The demon arm's muscles completely withered, and the greedy aura of demonic power gradually disappeared. Chapter 9:51. In the depths of the Yunling Mountains, on a meteor battleship above the miraculous gate, Zhu Siming looked at the two nascent soul stage sword cultivators walking into the training room on the battleship. His face was still filled with shock. Pavilion Master and the others actually killed Old Devil Sure. That was a late nascent soul stage cultivator. After a while, Zhu Siming regained his composure. He thought about how he had interacted with Lu Kuan all these years and learned about the characteristics of the body disintegration cultivator. He felt a little relieved. Since ancient times, immortal cultivators relied on spells and magic treasures to attack from a distance. Their bodies were very weak and could only be protected by spells and magic treasures. It was the same for nascent soul stage cultivators. Lu Kuan, the owner of the body refining pavilion and the founder of the body refining technique, was completely different from the traditional immortal cultivators. The most powerful thing about him was his physical body. Not only was his defense comparable to that of a mature Dharma treasure, but his physical strength was also comparable to that of a nascent soul stage cultivator. Body cultivators relied on their terrifying physical bodies. Their most powerful attack was close combat. Their attacks were as fast as lightning, and they were flexible. If an ordinary nascent soul stage cultivator were to get close to Lu Kuan, they would definitely die. Lu Kuan's continuous physical attacks were equivalent to the attacks of a set of magic treasures. Unless one had the power of a nascent soul that was stronger than Lu Kuan's physical strength, it would be difficult to resist. Sure, Jingtian's attacks should be stronger than Lu Kuan's. However, Lu Kuan's bones had reached the level of a mature stage magic treasure. Furthermore, old Devil Pang had fused the silver dragon meteorite iron into his body. Shi Jingtian would not be able to break through his defense in a short period of time. In Zhu Siming's opinion, unless the enemy trapped Lu Kuan and used the nascent soul stage cultivator's powerful nascent soul stage fire to burn him for a long time, they would not be able to threaten him. The three great sword cultivators had techniques comparable to a nascent soul stage cultivator. In addition, Lu Kuan was able to hold Shi Jingtian back. Naturally, they would be able to resist this late nascent soul stage cultivator. However, Zhu Siming didn't expect that they would be able to kill this grand cultivator by joining forces. Could it be that the Pavilion Master's cultivation had made another breakthrough? Just as Zhu Siming's thoughts were running wild, a green escape light flew over from afar. Qin Yushu landed beside him with a five-feathered heaven and earth fan in his hand. Zhu Siming stared blankly for a moment before asking, "Junior Martial Brother, has the core formation battle already ended?" Qin Yushu said with a smile of exultation, "That's right. After Yu Xian and Huang Xiaoyan rushed over to support us, it was as if we were being assisted by the gods. Originally, with Pan Yin blocking the enemy's powerful attacks, we had already gained the upper hand. After Yu Xian came over, she directly charged and broke through the enemy's formation with Pan Yin, disrupting the enemy's formation. Huang Xiaoyan, who has the strongest attack, secretly launched a sneak attack, causing the enemy to tremble in fear. After that, they scattered and fled. We cooperated with the spirit transformation sect's friends and Xiao Jin, and they were almost completely wiped out." Zhu Siming nodded lightly. Before the battle, they had already simulated their cooperation in a chaotic battle. When a core formation stage cultivator was suddenly attacked by a physique cultivator in close range, they would feel great pressure and have many openings. Victory was within their expectations. "Wait, you said almost. Could it be that someone escaped?" Qin Yushu said, "Actually, it was only Shen Mingyao alone. This woman has been hiding her strength all this time. Her true strength is astonishing. She used a few powerful techniques in succession and escaped from the Yunling mountain range." Speaking up to here, his expression was a little unnatural as he said, "However, I feel that Huang Xiaoyan didn't use his full strength. With his sword body art's terrifying speed and explosive power, even if he couldn't kill her, he could at least severely injure her. Do you think that the Pavilion Master—" Zhu Siming's face darkened, and he interrupted, "Junior brother, be careful with your words. You may not know, but the Pavilion Master and the seniors of the Heavenly Sword sect have already eliminated Shi Jingtian. The Pavilion Master's cultivation is not much weaker than a grand cultivator. Why would he care about a female core formation stage cultivator?" Qin Yushu was first stunned, then he revealed a look of disbelief. "Senior brother, is what you said true?" Zhu Siming said, "The two seniors of the Heavenly Sword sect are recuperating in the secret room of the battleship. Since they said it themselves, it's naturally not false." Qin Yushu's body trembled when he heard this. He was extremely excited. The Pavilion Master has the combat strength of a grand cultivator. Our body-refining pavilion can truly establish a foothold in Wei Nation. As long as we develop steadily for a few hundred years, how powerful will our sect be?" Zhu Siming looked around the cloud Ridge mountain range. In this battle, the advantages of body cultivators have been revealed. They are simply born for battle. Powerful demonic beasts also have physical defense and close combat strength. However, demonic beasts below the 8th level have not fully developed their intelligence. They can't cooperate with body cultivators in battle. Moreover, low-level demonic beasts can't use Dharma artifacts or Dharma treasures. Body cultivators are completely different. The meteorites that we have developed will shine in this battle." Zhu Siming suddenly changed the topic. "That's right, junior brother. I feel that the meteorites can still be optimized. If we refine 2 layers and use a double-layer explosion, will it be more suitable for war?" Qin Yushu's eyes lit up. "I understand. We could divide it into 2 spheres. In the future, we can even place 10 body cultivators. When they are close to the ground, the outer layer will explode and scatter the body cultivators into the enemy's camp. Then, Zhu Siming and Qin Yushu started to discuss. Shi Jingtian was dead. Almost all the core formation stage cultivators were killed. The battle at the Miraculous Gate was a foregone conclusion. They just had to wait here for the others to return. Somewhere in the south of the Cloud Ridge mountain range, a hidden light enveloped Shun Mengyao. She flew close to the ground. Her aura was faint, and it seemed that she had used some kind of powerful concealment technique. Shun Mengyao's expression kept changing. How many allies does the Heavenly Sword sect have? Besides the guys from the Yang clan, there are also core formation stage cultivators with spirit beasts. I was almost surrounded by them. From the very beginning, she had been very cautious. She had been constantly observing her surroundings and had even shifted her position far away. After the heaven-shaking roar appeared, she discovered that Master Yu, who had already reached the mid-nascent soul stage, had fled with his tail between his legs. Shun Mengyao felt an inexplicable sense of panic in her heart. For Elder Yu to escape without hesitation, it could only mean that something happened to the Great Elder. Could it be that even a nascent soul stage cultivator could not resist the enemy? Shun Mengyao felt that her conjecture was unbelievable, but it also made sense. No matter what, I have to save my life first. The border between the Miraculous Gate and the state of Qi must be an important area. It seems that I have to enter the state of Jin, which is east of the state of Wei, and take a detour from there to the state of Qi. With my extreming body, it will not be difficult to enter the 3 demon sects. When the time comes, at this moment, Shun Mengyao suddenly felt that the surrounding air had become extremely cold. She could not help but shiver. This cold aura was so cold that it penetrated into her bones. What's going on? This is Shun Mengyao's pupils shrank. She saw a pair of slender hands with gray skin. She did not know when they were placed outside her protective light, but a strong cold aura penetrated the shield and entered her body. The Dharma power in Shun Mengyao's body seemed to have met its natural enemy, and all of it retreated back into the golden elixir. The light also stopped. Then, the pair of gray jade hands grabbed her lightly, and the shield outside her body broke. The power of the nascent soul stage. Shun Mengyao's face suddenly became extremely pale. In front of her, a beautiful woman with gray skin and a dignified appearance appeared out of thin air. The pair of gray palms, which contained the power of the nascent soul stage, pressed directly on her shoulders. Shun Mengyao immediately lost control of her body, and her whole body was frozen. The next moment, the beautiful woman opened her mouth slightly, and the 2 canine teeth inside instantly doubled in size. Those terrifying fangs, under Shun Mengyao's horrified gaze, bit on her neck. The essence blood in her body was strongly attracted and gathered towards her neck. At the same time, the beautiful woman's terrifying divine sense came out of her body. The soul-searching technique, which was unique to nascent soul stage cultivators, was used on her divine soul. Shun Mengyao's eyes bulged, and her body kept twitching. The originally moist and snow-white skin was withering at a speed visible to the naked eye, and her life aura was getting weaker and weaker. This is Silver, Elite Corpse. After a few dozen breaths, Shun Mengyao's enchanting and plump body turned into a dry corpse. Then, it turned into dust and dissipated in the air, leaving behind a light black golden elixir and a storage bracelet. The beautiful woman closed her eyes and frowned slightly. She floated in the air, and the cold aura in her body kept rolling, as if there was some kind of special change. Chapter 952. In less than 2 days, the Miraculous Gate, the most powerful sect in the Wei Nation, was completely defeated. Only a handful of people managed to escape alive. The restrictive array around the Miraculous Gate's cave abodes and mountain gate had disappeared. Continuous rumbling sounds could be heard from within. The disciples of the body refining pavilion were breaking the restrictive array and looting the resources of the miraculous gate. The spirit transformation sect and the Black Mountain Ape clan were running around the Yunling mountain range in search of the miraculous gate's disciples and hidden cave abodes. From time to time, the excited roars of apes could be heard from the forest. In the depths of the Yunling mountain range, the demon abyss was still shrouded in a powerful restrictive array. It did not shatter because of the defeat of the miraculous gate. Lu Kuan stood with his hands behind his back at the edge of the demon abyss. Beside him lay a mummified body. From the pitch-black abyss, streams of pure, demonic chi surged out. Together with the spiritual chi from the mountain range behind him, they turned into a black and white whirlpool cloud and entered his muscular body. Although the battle between Lu Kuan and Shi Jingtian was short, it consumed a terrifying amount of demonic chi. Regardless of whether it was the arm-penetrating force or the severing fist, both required a large amount of demonic chi. In just one battle, almost 70% of his demonic chi was consumed. If Lu Kuan did not use the sky-piercing roar, he would not have been able to end the battle in such a short time. If the battle had dragged on, he and Yulong Fei would have run out of demonic chi. At that time, they would be in danger. Fortunately, they were lucky. Not only did they successfully eliminate Shi Jingtian, but Lu Kuan also used this opportunity to comprehend the severing fist. This powerful battle technique borrowed the strength of the arm-penetrating force to forcefully extract the yuan chi of heaven and earth from a grand cultivator for his own use. This allowed him to truly have the qualifications to fight against a grand cultivator. With this kind of battle prowess, Lu Kuan was able to intimidate the surrounding cultivation countries and let the body refining pavilion dominate the entire country. After a while, Lu Kuan slowly opened his eyes. He could feel that most of the demonic energy in his body had been restored. He sighed with emotion, as expected of a top demonic spirit vein. Only a place where demonic energy and spirit energy are equally rich is suitable for bone transformation stage cultivation. Shaking his body, he turned his head to look at Li Qianfeng's shriveled body. Devil Qi lingered around his demonic arm, and a weak, evil devil Qi surged inside. Qi blood demonic energy is indeed not simple. It can actually spontaneously absorb demonic Qi to recover. Golden light flashed in Lu Kuan's eyes. He opened his mouth slightly, and a drop of silver essence blood containing a powerful aura floated out. It turned into a bloody mist and seeped into the demon arm's skin. The demon arm's muscles immediately twitched, sometimes expanding, sometimes contracting. There was a faint howl of unwillingness coming from the depths of its bones. A moment later, the evil and greedy aura of the blood demonic energy disappeared without a trace. When Lu Kuan was still at the bone treasure stage, his essence blood was already able to seal the true demonic intent. It was needless to say to deal with the blood demonic energy of the foundation establishment stage. He condensed his essence blood into a crystal and sealed it in the demon arm's bone marrow cavity. Then, he used his essence blood to sense the situation inside the demon arm. His expression couldn't help but become strange. What happened to this kid's body? His bones weren't swallowed by the blood demonic energy, but the demon arm's demonic treasure material actually improved slightly. But my battle treasure, a brick-like deformed piece of flesh appeared in Lu Kuan's hand. It was the embryonic form of the battle treasure he used to kill Shi Jingtian's nascent soul stage. This treasure now looked different. Its outermost layer of grayish-black muscles had stopped twitching. Its color was incomparably dim. More than half of the honeycomb-like internal muscle fibers in the bone marrow cavity were broken. It was filled with a deathly stillness. According to Lu Kuan's idea of refining battle treasures, this bone transformation stage magic treasure couldn't be used before it was refined by the internal demonic energy. Only after it was refined could it self-nourish and repair the damage caused by the demonic energy. In the battle not long ago, Shi Jingtian's nascent soul broke free from the shackles and teleported out of the range of the Void Force. Lu Kuan had to forcibly use the battle treasure. He attached the Source Force field to it and used the seismic palm combat technique to kill Shi Jingtian's nascent soul from a distance. Although a lot of the destructive power emitted by the demonic energy was absorbed by the inner muscles of the battle treasure, a lot of it still rushed to other parts. Because it couldn't self-nourish, the embryonic form of the battle treasure was in a damaged state. What surprised Lu Kuan was that Li Qianfeng's demonic arm hadn't been refined either. The demonic energy in it had fallen into a deep slumber, but why had the demonic arm's material improved slightly? He thought about it, but couldn't figure out the reason. He was afraid that he would have to ask Li Qianfeng himself what had happened in his body. Perhaps the battle treasure still had room for improvement. Lu Kuan looked at the sleeping corpse and frowned slightly. This kid's soul is very weak. I don't know how long it will take for him to recover on his own. With a flash of light, a huge necklace of wooden beads appeared out of thin air and slowly floated to Li Qianfeng's neck, exuding a cool aura. With the help of the demon soul wood, it should only take a few days. Hey, you're back. At this moment, a graceful figure wearing a black dress appeared not far away. It was Serene. Compared to before, her skin looked more moist and plump. Although it was still grayish, it gave people a feeling that it was full of vitality. Lu Kuan said in surprise, "The Yin energy is much purer, and your body is more similar to that of a human. Is it because of the extreme Yin body?" Serene, Er's eyes flashed with a strange light. She said, "Yes, Pavilion Master. Yin followed your instructions and absorbed Shun Mingyao's blood essence. My body seems to have undergone some changes." Lu Kuan said in a deep voice, "I saw a secret about the extreme Yin body in a book that recorded the Constitution. It was said that the metal elite zombie that appeared in the immortal cultivation world was transformed from the corpse of an ancient cultivator with the extreme Yin body. Now it seems that the blood essence of the extreme Yin body is indeed of great help to you." When Serene heard this, she nodded repeatedly. Her eyes rolled around twice, but no one knew what she was thinking. Lu Kuan was no longer surprised by her lively expression. Under the powerful blood essence, the silver-armored corpse's bloodthirstiness had been reduced to the extreme, and its intelligence had greatly increased. In addition, its strength was stronger than an ordinary early Yuanying realm cultivator. Serene could be said to be his greatest help. If her cultivation continued to improve, perhaps she would be able to gain some inspiration for his body-tempering cultivation method. As for Shun Mingyao, Lu Kuan had long since stopped caring about her. Just like Zhu Siming said, his current strength was comparable to that of a great cultivator. Why would he care about a female core formation stage cultivator? Originally, Lu Kuan had planned to personally kill Shun Mingyao. However, he recalled that this woman had used the spirit-devouring art on him back then, and her Kuei water body had transformed into an extreme body. Thus, he arranged for Serene to kill her soul and suck her blood. This way, he would be able to take back the physique that he had obtained from her to a certain extent. Just as Lu Kuan was observing the changes in Serene, three sword lights with astonishing momentum flew out from the meteor battleship in the distance and shot towards the Devil Abyss. The three sword cultivators had obviously recovered their magic power. Lu Kuan said, "Iner, I will enter the Devil Abyss with Brother Yu and the others. You take Li Qianfeng with you and guard the meteor battleship." Serene nodded gently and turned into a gray escape light. She wrapped the mummified Li Qianfeng and flew into the distance. Ancestor of Body Cultivators, that you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.